20th meeting of the select board to order at 6 o'clock. Let's start with, do we have any changes to the agenda?
Three things. One is regular town orders and the minutes and the errors and omissions.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. And now we have any public comment as opposed to you have a spot on the board and you're going to talk to us. So sometimes folks just show up at the last minute and have something they want to say. Anybody else that we're getting online? I can't remember any people there.
Nope.
Okay. You there, Brian?
He's on mute,
Yes,
but
he's
he's
on mute.
waving.
Okay, he's waving. Okay, right.
Ryan's on.
Yeah.
Yeah, trying to
Let's
get
see if we can-
there.
I hope I see him at Toco from Texas.
Hold on.
Try that.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay.
He's got,
Well, you know he's there. If you can see it.
Yeah, I can see
He
it.
knows if he's.
he's got his
yeah,
big dog shirt on.
He's got, okay. Okay, well, he can chime in when he wants to chime in.
Chastity on too.
I'm here.
Oh, there we go.
Brian.
There's Brian. There he
Does
is.
it say big dog? Where's the rabbit?
Rabbit's back at the camper.
I have one caller online. Not sure who that is, but
Allie.
Oh,
Thank
okay,
you.
there's Ally. All right.
enter your name, Alan.
Don't forget the town orders, please.
We just added them.
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
Brian, where are you?
Right now I'm in Eden, Texas.
Eden, Texas, okay. North, south?
It's right dead center. It's the dead center.
Wow, okay.
91 degrees. Beautiful.
Beautiful, okay. Humid or dry?
Oh, it's dry. Love it.
There we go. Okay, we'll start. Matt,
Thank you.
that is you. What can we do for you?
I came here to talk, obviously, I'm representing the Hyde Park Youth Sports Committee.
Yeah.
We're a new committee this year. We had an estimated budget, which came out of our Hyde Park Rec Committee, of $3,000, with the idea that we're gonna have some offset costs, being money coming in.
Yeah.
It was this year, March, the school had shifted $4,000 that was donated funds to
Right.
the account.
Right,
And we didn't realize we needed to show up to you guys to ask for that money to be carried over.
right.
And I got the account 13 balance, and it doesn't show that $1,000. So we don't have that in our account, so I went back to the town general funds. So went back to wherever it went to, I don't know. I guess I don't understand it completely either. So I just told that I come here to ask to request it back into our.
Yeah.
funds.
There are all these silly formal things you have to do with money so when the accountants and when the auditors roll in, they say, oh, look, you did everything right.
So I guess I'm here to request, that $4,000 back, and then there was an additional tournament that was held that we got money from,
Okay,
and so I'd like to request that money back as well.
okay,
So I think it's a total of $4,600
okay,
that we would like back to our account.
right,
for
back in your
funds.
account.
Yeah, that we would like to make improvements for fields and whatnot, and also there is a potential that we have to rent gym space, that we're still working with the school. So, if that becomes an issue, I guess we're gonna have to be looking at the select board that ask us to figure out
Figure out how to do it.
how we do that.
Yeah.
Go forward with that.
Yeah.
wanted to request. Currently, I don't have the exact number off the top of my head, but I think it's about $3,600 to $4,000 on the hotel that we pay towards mowing fees up at the fields. And
All right.
heading into next year, we would like, knowing that we have a person that does some of the maintenances around here, I know we do the cemetery mowing stuff now, a possibility of self-performing it through the town. Keeping that
Find a
money.
less expensive way of mowing.
Less expensive way, the better product. Having to cheap out and say, well, no, don't do it this week or whatnot. And it would also, if we had a person on town where I could ask them to drive the field or something, once every 2 weeks or something to that effect, it would also save a lot of money. The possibility of that.
What, like I said, Ron and Ally, where's the money and what do we have to do to move it?
Ally can explain, I think we did at some point get a check from the school. I think it was 4,000 even. Is that true, Ally?
That is correct, and it's sitting in the rec reserve. That's where the board approved to have the money deposited into.
Right.
And that's why Matt's requesting that $4,000 to be used for field maintenance and something else, because it's sitting in the rec reserve.
Yeah, so it didn't stay in the general fund, per se, so the reserve is
It's all the
the,
general fund anyways, right?
yeah, it's
It's a lot of little arrows to it. yeah,
It's the
right.
general fund reserve, yeah. So the release of that money is controlled by the select board with a specific request.
Which is
And
right.
here's my specific.
Right, here's a specific request.
So the board has to decide how specific. So typically, for example, with fire as a reserve, they would say, we're buying one thermal imaging camera. And they approve
Right, and they cost.
$780.22. And that's the approved specific request. We haven't done general requests of equipment or what it's, reserve is usually meant to make an argument for the use that you can't get it otherwise. Either through an increased budget request potentially, or through fundraising or grants or something else. So having a general request gets you started.
Right.
But generally it's narrowed down a little bit, like mower attachment because ours broke. That kind of.
To make it as simple as kids sponsorship. This was money, the reason why this money came, because it was donated funds anyways.
The 4,000.
Yeah.
Right.
So it would go to kids scholarships essentially. We had to charge $45 per kid for scholarship. We've never charged, but because we didn't have a budget. We didn't have essentially.
First year budget, right?
I got you, okay. So would that use all of the money? You want to leave some in reserve?
We're gonna use it all if we get it.
Okay. I'm trying to say, so what is it? Yeah.
We only have 2 sets of soccer goals. We currently have 3 fields up there, so we're using cones for the third, fourth of the field. We had a donation of a pitcher's mound brought in last year. We have 3 fields up there. It would be nice because we can't play softball up there if we put pitcher's mound on. This year we put a permanent pitcher's mound on. I donated all the equipment and did it ourselves. We'd like to add those 2 pitcher's mounds. They're about $1,300 each. That way we can keep girls softball alive up there. So it's a hand placed mound you can place up there and then you can remove it. The money will be spent.
So how about, I'm perfectly happy to just request that we move the 4,000, but as part of that approval, would like, as you spend it, just to send us doesn't have to be to the pay.
I did it.
Yeah,
So
okay.
communicate with Ally before.
Right, okay. I think, so that, and then, once as it gets rolling, then when you're looking out ahead and you say, we know we want to spend X amount of money for the whatever, you just let us know if there's money in the reserve, we say sure, and that gets transferred out.
The other thing that's out there is there's prior money from years past.
Yes.
There's new money that you just talked about.
Yeah.
And then there's an audit coming out in the next several weeks that will show if there was a surplus from
There was.
some prior. So you're talking about one request for one use.
If there is surplus money and we can get more, we just had that audit for the insurance audit up there. Our playground is very outdated. We removed all 4 structures. We don't have one remaining structure up there for kids to play on. We'd like it to go to that. The Mackenzie Pratt tournament that we hold every year is a private entity that has some money in the bank account that we would like to dedicate the playground to the Mackenzie Pratt. So, but it's gonna take some money. We have a huge budget on that, but that's something we requested of the town for the extra money, whatever that is, to fill this in. But we requested it's about a $10,000 budget to repair the playground.
Yeah, so I think it sounds very similar to the Guyan Valley Hall Committee, where they went through like a facilities need list and then tried to match grants, donations, and available money to work on that.
To fill it in, right.
Typically, the reserve is you leave some of it for unknowns too.
Right.
So spending it all is
I agree.
a wish.
It's a little.
So you want to pull back a little bit with a plan of saying, here's our floor, 2,000, some 3,000, something that's there. Everything above it, you'd be spending down your plan. Now, some of those expenses might be part of your regular budget, or like the guy in Valley Hall Committee did, we've got problems up there. We need $15,000 special item at town meeting day to knock this back. We're only getting $2,000 of the reserve every year. We got to do this to activate this. And that you go to the town meeting day and ask voters for that one time type thing. There's a couple avenues. That's why having the list to see what you're really talking about in total helps the select board or town say, oh, well, there's 75% grant to get that type of thing going. We'll help you with the grant and we get the money, and then you're only spending 25% of what you asked for 100% for. So that's what the committee did for the Grange Hall up in North Hyde Park. It worked pretty well. It's taken some time, and there's always debate about priorities. That happens, probably within your own committee, as well as at the select board level. But, so I don't know if the request tonight is about specifically the 4,000 at least, because it is reserved, it's in there.
Correct.
So it's not going to go anywhere.
So what happens if we don't have the money and basketball season starts? Well, and so I can just run this through the account. If we got to start renting gym space and it's 5 to 6, then I come back and ask for that money to come back.
No, you need to ask for it before you spend it. You need to come in and say, but that can happen pretty fast. You can come in and say, wow, we need $500 and here's what we need it. We say, great, it's in the reserve, great.
Yeah, your town meeting where like.
No, well,
No, the town meeting is if you're making a great big addition.
there's 2 different types of way to get at the money. One is go to the voters.
Yeah.
Pull that into your account. The other one is to use your existing reserves through the select board and have special requests.
So I can just be through an email.
Yeah, so, right, so I could envision from what you said so far that you have equipment needs, you have scholarship needs, you have a recreation thing that might spin off into its own project potentially with donations. And you say, I don't want to keep coming back to you guys.
Okay.
Here's my plan.
Yeah.
And then you kick them off. I think North Hyde Park did that. You guys gave approval and it took them 6 or 8 months to actually get to the spending part. So that's why, but the specific request doesn't have a time frame on it. It's just that you might get to the purchase, but not have the approval if you don't.
How does that money stay in our records, stay in the rec reserve?
Forever.
Yeah, well, it's released by the select board upon request.
So
It doesn't go in place.
You don't lose it. It's not used.
It's not a time frame. You have
this
to.
isn't money that we generated. This isn't the town money. This is our money that we
Right.
generated. This isn't something taxpayers pay. So
Well, there's 2 points there. When a taxpayer or person gives money to the rec committee, it is the town's money.
except when it's a donation.
No, when it's a donation. When a person or entity gives money to youth baseball parents association, way over here, has nothing to do with your committee. That goes with the association, does not go to the town. But anytime you're representing, you work for the committee, you're a volunteer, you're trying to raise money, that is all town money under that umbrella. So you have to be careful. The fire department does this too. They have their firefighter association where they get donations and funds and all that over here. We don't see that money. We don't account for it. We don't audit.
That's the way we can do it.
But stuff that's under the town umbrella is stuff Ally needs to know about, and we will audit it, and you'll have this process that we're talking about tonight. So the old school, the old way, before you even came in under the umbrella, was that the association of parents ran programs with the school. Own checkbook, nothing to do with the town, just the parents did.
No, nobody did. The school, everything went to the school.
It was not, it wasn't really run by the town per se. Now you're under the town as a committee, so you have to be careful about how you represent yourself, because people rely on the town relationship to give money sometimes. They don't want to give it to a parent, they want to give it to the town. So you have to be careful how you ask for money.
Or the other way. But we don't.
Yeah, I'm just saying you have to be careful how you ask, because it really dictates whether Ally sees it come in as revenue that she has to worry about now and manage, or she never sees it because you have an association that got money. Unrelated to the town.
And you, while that on one side makes life a little more complicated, on the other side, when you start applying for grants, it's having that money in your reserve with the town that makes, here's your town match, here's a 25% match, and can open up a lot of access to a variety of kinds of money for organizations that isn't there if you're just a parents association.
So like we run the concessions.
Yeah.
That's a budgeted thing. We run the concessions. This year we made $3,600. We brought that money back in town.
Right.
If we don't spend that money, that goes to the reserve next year. And it's a rolling number.
The audit, right, the audit that's gonna come out every end of fiscal year, we'll look at recreation income and expense as a total operation. If there's a surplus, into the reserve. If there's a deficit, the taxpayers cover that for you. We don't take it back out of reserve.
There's one of the benefits.
That was decided on, as a operational thing, but
Right.
that's one of the benefits of having it go through the town. You have a town insurance, you have town staff, you have town grant eligibility, plus you have this taxpayer support, which is built into that reserve to help it function without depleting it with over expenditures. Of course, if you have a whole bunch of over expenditures, that's another issue. But generally, you don't. Usually you have some surplus every year.
In the past, like this year, it's a new year for us, like
Yeah, right, takes a while. Well, you're trying to do a lot of new things and everything, so
Yeah.
that's, yeah.
I feel it's kind of.
Well, and what Ron was talking about in terms of going to town meeting is you get into the winter. You may say, here's a big project that you'd like to do, and it's gonna cost you $15,000. And it's gonna take a lot, and you're not finding any, whatever. So that might be something that you then, as a group, would ask us to put on the ballot, and you'd ask the voters if they would give you a one-time $15,000 to pay for whatever it is that, that was work, again, something like the playground, redoing the playground. And then, because that's it. And if voters say, yes, there you go, there's the money, and again, you just keep track of it and everything, but. So that's the going to town meeting sort of a thing. And can be, and again, that's, up in North Hyde Park, they did that. That's a great way to get an issue to the town and talk to it. Frequently, towns are very receptive to doing one-time monies to help something get going like that.
So how do we know what's in the reserve account?
When the audit comes up.
Which is supposed to be done in a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think we finished all the paperwork, internal paperwork last week.
So have we completely confused you now?
It continues to. We get the plans for it, and I guess.
I was going to say, that's right. You guys
That was
are
the
doing
goal,
a great job. That was the goal, and you all are doing a great job, and we'll do our best to unconfuse and get money flowing to you well.
We
So-
actually have taken it 3 other towns, so since they're not having sports, so
Wow, okay.
then we're committed with it, and we'll do that.
Yeah, exactly. So what would you like to do?
I'll make a motion to give them some money.
Move to 4,000 over?
Second.
It's in the reserve. It's
Right.
for scholarships specifically or and equipment.
It'll be for.
Scholarships and equipment.
So
Yeah.
both.
Yeah.
For the youth sports.
Yeah.
Those two things.
Half of it's gonna go for facility, the other half is gonna go for kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, right, so that's great information and the specifics of that will go through Ally for expenditure.
Yes.
Okay, you there, Brian?
I'm here too, by the way.
Okay, we got Ally's there. I'm just saying, make sure Brian's there.
Brian's showing me a picture of the sky with a mute button on.
Well, this is Chastity. I'm here too.
Oh, okay. Hey, Chastity. All right.
Hello.
So, Ryan, stay with.
That's right.
There he is, he's back.
He's back. Okay. Phew. Okay, did you hear all that, Chastity?
Yeah, I've
What's
been
that?
listening the whole time. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
good.
Okay, you're good. Brian, you set?
Yep.
Okay, all right, got a motion to move the $4,000 from the reserve and to give them the committee access to it, and it's for kids scholarships and equipment. So all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. You heard Brian?
Aye.
Okay, he's waving at us. Okay, anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? Okay, terrific. There you go. Yeah, it's going now, what happens?
Work with Alan. Yeah.
Okay,
Hi, I'm sorry to interrupt. I was wondering if I could ask a question.
oh, sure.
Nothing about.
Oh, sure, sorry.
Get you guys through that. I thought it was on the agenda, but I was just looking at it. I don't think I ended up getting on there. And I missed the community.
Okay, and your,
So that's why I was gonna try to introduce myself and get through this as quickly as possible.
No, that's fine.
I saw you had a lot of highway stuff. So.
there's always something.
Yeah. So I wanted to introduce myself mostly. That's the main reason I'm here. My name's Pat Rickley. I'm the new executive director of Oil and Economic Development Corps. And I do have some cards here. I was hoping I could give to you all.
Yeah.
So you have my contact information. I don't know how closely you worked with my predecessor, John Mandel.
John, well,
Yeah, so
thank you. Welcome.
I guess I'm the new John, so to speak. And if there's anyone else who would want some, yeah. So for now,
So far, so good?
a few extra. Yeah, so far so good. So I started in June roughly, and I know y'all are probably likely familiar with what we do at OEPC. Just thought it was important to really get a live face in front of y'all and, let you know that we're still here and we're still working for you. We do appreciate, each town, most of the towns in the county give us a little help every year, and Hyde Park being one of them, so that is much appreciated. And if you ever have questions for me, obviously what we do is.
Roll into the cannabis.
All right.
Yeah.
So if you have questions, I'm happy to answer anything that's on your mind. I know ARPA is a huge thing right now. I certainly have my personal thoughts on ARPA and the way that could or should be spent, but the RDCs, LADC being one, have not really been fitted with directly assisting the towns with that. It's been more of the planning folks and Vermont League of Cities and Towns, more planning. And I do have a lot of information on that, however, and thoughts on that. But they're really the kind of go-to on that one. I saw there was some ARPA discussion later in the meeting. But really, we're here to assist with any economic development within Lamoille County. And that can mean a lot of things. When we were having the recreation discussion, I thought of some recreation grant dollars that are out there that may be able to help with some of that type of stuff.
We have potentially a humdinger for you.
Okay. Well, not too much. I know you're all familiar with what we do.
Yeah.
There's more just I wanted to get in front of you and let you all know who I am and, real life setting. So,
Well, appreciate that. We'll sometime have you come back when we're just, maybe sit and chat about economic development and potential. Because of course, in Hyde Park, we just, Fork and Gavel just couldn't make it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, I'm sure as we're going to see a lot of restaurants and those sorts of service places just cannot make it right now.
Yeah.
And I think what finally did them in really was help. We just couldn't get enough help.
Well, and that's one of the main things we're dealing with right now, countywide, statewide, I think in the entire country, is just getting people to work, and we could talk for a long time about what the challenges are. But that's a big thing we're spending some time on now as well as the usual suspects, so to speak. So one thing, and I tried to get on the agenda, I think I got lost in translation somehow there, but we do have a priority project list that the state has asked us to maintain for each area. I can send that along to the board or the town administrator.
Okay, yeah.
To see where that's at. right, the state has asked for 10 projects. There's various requirements that for the project to fit. And I know I was on the agenda, so I won't spend too much of your time, but I can send that along to the town admin. I do not believe right now we have a project on there. If there's something that's out there, we should talk about it, because this is gonna be an ongoing list of economic development projects. And if you've got something that you're looking for money for, whether it be grants or whatever, and particularly something you've already invested something in, even if it's long ago investment, it should be on, really should be on that list, and the list is not full right now. So,
You should be getting a call from Mr. Moran tomorrow.
I'm there. It's a good card for a reason.
I was gonna say, yeah.
I'm there.
Yeah.
well, a lot of what we do is connecting projects to funding. And if it doesn't always work, but we do our best to make it happen. So that's really, I don't want to spend too much time, but I was trying to crowbar in there a little bit. on-
Yeah, no.
Glad you did.
No, glad you did that. And I'll have, Ron, you can reach out to him sometime, and here's our fascinating project that somebody wants to start growing cannabis on a commercial size.
Yeah, well, I have some information about that
Yeah,
whole deal.
and Ron just stood us for saying, okay, we get it together and let's see where we go.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is decide if you want that in your town or not. You know, that's the first thing.
So. Well, and the board's got it, it's all kinds of fascinating questions will come from it.
We're actually meeting with a couple people from the Cannabis Control Board next month.
Okay.
So I will have, and honestly, a lot of people don't have answers right now.
That's
So
right.
we're hoping to have some answers coming out of that meeting, because it's coming around. I think it's April of next year that these things can open.
Right.
It's already here.
Yeah.
Well, right. It's
already here.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. Super.
Great.
Thank you. Appreciate you dropping in. You will definitely hear from us.
Awesome, great.
And we'll,
I won't
yeah,
plug up your meeting here too much.
no. Okay. Highway Department. Beam Road.
Yeah.
Hey, Susan,
Yes, sir.
did you get that email from Mr. Griswold?
Let me see, Scott, I won't be able to attend.
He wanted to have that letter read on behalf of them because they weren't going to be able to make it.
Update the town. So now I'm trying to figure out what have you guys, because I didn't make it, I wasn't at the meeting.
You got it,
I was
right?
doing something else.
I didn't get to email.
Right? I didn't see it.
I've got it.
What's that?
You got it?
It's on my phone, but it'll just mess everything up if I try to go in and find it.
Oh, don't do that. No, I got it here.
You got it, Susan?
Well, I have, but I'm wandering through it, trying to get to the point. Now I want to extend Class 3 road further than it's needed. By ending the Class 3 road at the mailboxes, the town would not be required to install and maintain the ditching and culverts needed. So it sounded, it's Scott's do you know what I mean? Have you read it before? Or in talking to Scott there, does he want us to do nothing?
That pretty much covers it.
I see. And the road, the meeting with everybody up there, you decided you wanted to do what? Again, I wasn't there.
No,
You
it
guys-
was Rolly and Brian.
Okay,
What we decided on, that we were gonna do some ditching,
Right.
clean that culvert out. And Matt was supposed to be looking into, see if we could put another culvert down there at the intersection before it went around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't heard nothing from Matt. I don't know if anybody has. Have you heard anything from Matt, Brian? Hello?
Fell asleep again.
I haven't heard nothing back from Matt.
We have some, well, it wasn't Matt, Matt does the survey work. Summit Engineering was doing the
Yeah, but
stormwater.
he was gonna get a hold, right?
Yes, well, Matt sent information to Summit, so Summit could add some of those improvements to the new site plan, which is up there.
Yeah, there's that, right.
So that's the new site plan after the site visit.
And the turnaround was gonna be
Right.
left where it was.
That is correct, enlarged to regulation size,
Right.
but left where it
And we
was.
were gonna go over on the other side. We had to move that little catch basin you drew in. We would work on that as it
Right,
grew
that was the
And,
understanding.
and do something with that corner.
Yeah, so that's on the screen is the new turnaround that just shows basically a circle.
Yeah.
The garage.
Does it show that catch basin there,
Yes, right there.
right there?
Yeah, right there.
Is that gonna have to be moved? Yeah. No, that looks like
It's really close to a corner, which is not great for winter, running over that from time to time. So
Right.
we may be able to adjust the inlet, keep the outlet the same location.
Extend on to the inlet.
And then if you go back up the road, you can.
Email, you know, nothing,
You want me to read?
Hey,
you being chased by the dogs or what?
It's the rabbits after it. Yeah, the rabbits after it.
so I tried to send it to Roland and Dave and, I can't get it to work. So, the internet is very spotty here. So almost lost everybody. So, like I said, Scott wanted to have that read to, everybody so they understood their point of view on the, Beam Road, turnaround.
Okay, we've got somebody that's got it, so we're gonna let them read it.
Excellent.
Well, I don't,
Really want to read it, but I can't.
well, I can, but I don't understand. Let's see. I'm trying to get to a paragraph where his point is. And I think it's, why would the town now want to extend the class 3 road further than what's needed? By ending the class 3 road at the mailboxes, the town would not be required to install and maintain the ditching and culverts needed to turn that section into a class 3 road. Why not end the class 3 road at the mailboxes and add the ditching requirement to that point? By placing a culvert near the bottom of the hill, it would take care of the water issue crossing the road to Sherry's home. From the point of a 30-foot right-of-way to the town can be used to the turnaround, I'm willing to pay for the work to upgrade the turnaround as well as to upgrade the box culvert. The 30-foot right-of-way would be signed if needed by the appropriate landowners, with the town agreeing to plow the road as well as to grade this portion once in the spring and once in the fall on their normal grading schedules for the class 3 section of the road. I mentioned the grading as plow operators want dirt roads smooth when they become frozen in the winter. So
He did mention that day. He talked about that.
Yes, if I can interpret what I
Yeah.
believe Scott wants.
Yeah, go ahead.
Scott wants basically what is going on right now. He wants the town to agree that the class 3 road ends at where our mailboxes are at this point,
Back out there.
right? But that you agree to continue to plow down to the turnaround and grade it a couple of times a year.
And Scott's gonna pay for the,
That's what he says.
yeah.
So can I get somebody to do that? Can the town do that for my road? And then do that for my private road? I'm seriously, why? I mean, why? It's like, wait a minute.
You've got to turn around somewhere because the town don't go out and plow your road. But there, they have to go down and maintain the road to the mailboxes. So you've got to be able to turn around and get back out there.
Because it's
You
a-
gotta have a turnaround. You can't make a turnaround right at that intersection right there. That would be
At
crazy.
the mailbox.
Difficult.
Right.
That would be very
Okay.
difficult.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
Where have we been turning around previously?
Down to,
Where we're proposing to turn around.
Right.
Has been turned around for 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
Uh,
and he has,
And not plowed any further up the road than that.
he plowed to the turnaround.
out to the
Final
church.
turnaround.
But from point A to where the mailboxes are to point B to where the turnaround will be, that would still be a class 4.
Four. Or
Be a
private
class 4
road.
road.
If it's even a, right.
Well, it's not a class 4 now, technically, according to you guys.
It's class 3.
Well, it's unclassified according to what.
It's like my
It's
road.
not,
It's nothing.
Private road that's maintained by the town.
Yeah.
It's unclassified.
That's been the
And
problem.
Well,
and it's near
I
the,
know the towns have run into problems in my last experience if they were private. The roads, you
Yeah.
run into trouble on private roads. I know I've run into that.
Soft roads waiting to be taken care of.
So-
See, we had to back off. We used to plow the little school, the LC, little school. We had to back off on that
Right.
because that is private.
Right.
And if we backed in somebody or we ran over somebody, the town has no insurance on a private road.
I understand that.
And that's why we don't.
I think what Scott is going by through all this, and I'm speaking, as I envision Scott's talking, which I don't agree with. But he feels that there was an agreement with the town to do this down to the turnaround. I believe he references Ken all the time. And that there was an agreement and that the town should continue to do that, even though it's a private road.
Yeah, I'm like,
May I ask a question?
Of course.
What is the deal if it turns into a class 3 road down to the turn?
Well, I think that's a good idea to do that, but Scott does not.
Scott thinks it's a waste of taxpayer money.
He thinks it's a waste of taxpayer
But we-
money, and I think the other.
We've got to go down there anyway.
Right, but I think what Scott ultimately is thinking is if the class 3 ends at the mailboxes, then he and whoever can keep people from coming further down there and parking and doing that sort of thing.
I kind of think I understand a little bit of his opinion, because I kind of feel if we make, if the town owns it.
This is Sherry, by the way, if you have.
I'm the one who lives in the house.
Okay.
It's right on the corner.
Okay, gotcha.
But I kind of have some of that feeling of loss of power if the town takes over that road. And for me, I have a 5-acre lot, which this driveway, when I bought my house 12 years ago, I kind of felt like it was a driveway to 2 houses. It goes real close to my house, and it goes right through the center of my property. So if the town ends up totally taking it over, it just loses the control we have to keep it as like a little road. I mean, I don't want it to feel like it's, like the bottom of the road going past. I don't want it to feel like it's a big road going by.
But, yeah, and I see what you're saying, but if anybody goes down that road, they don't know the road.
Yeah.
They're still gonna have to turn around somewhere, so they go down to the turnaround,
Yeah.
and turn around, or they're gonna turn around your door.
If, you mean if the road doesn't, if the road isn't, but the road will, well, we have to maintain it.
I mean, it's kind of a gray area,
Yeah, I know.
I mean.
It's just the road seems to be getting wider and wider and wider ever since I moved in. I'm losing more and more and more.
Well, I think that's, if I may jump in, I think that was addressed when we had the meeting of the road.
Mhm.
To some degree, and that was the idea of trying to move the road back uphill a bit,
Yes, yes.
and give you more of that
Yeah.
lawn,
Uh-huh.
because it has sort of moved down
Right.
because people come, I mean, the plows in particular come around the corner and just push everything and it gets
Yeah.
moved down. So, that's, I think, being addressed by, what we discussed. And it makes a lot of sense to do that.
And how much, are you talking about 5 feet over? Or
I don't know, I think that,
I would say a good 3 feet over there because you gotta get a ditch in there. And that would move that road over, try to get some topsoil on their side to, grass seed that,
right.
try to keep them off there, but.
Yeah, I think a lot of, if you look at the right of way, the right of way basically goes through her front wall at this point. So if you can move it to the other side as far as push it up the hill, again, 10 feet would be great, but, certainly some degree.
What's the distance you're talking from where they turn around now to where they want to turn?
200 feet.
Yeah.
Ron, could you put the map, the
Yeah, I
done
think
that
we
there, but-
got-
250 feet
Yeah,
Right.
I don't know.
from your place down to the turnaround.
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah. that's-
Is it 400?
The way I'm looking at it, we ran in it before with these private roads, and I think it was over where Draper,
You want to see the,
was it?
that map, right,
right.
okay.
Can you
So where
maybe
is it?
show more of that, man?
Like, show, yeah, zoom in or zoom out.
Yeah. Zoom out a bit.
Okay, so where, someone who knows that, go up and show me where, because I didn't make the trip up there, so it's like, so where are we? Okay,
Here is Sherry's house.
okay,
Mailboxes are here.
okay.
And where do they turn around now?
Turnaround now is here.
Right there.
Or do you want to turn around?
Same place.
Well, I want to turn around there, and I think pretty much everyone wants to turn around there. The other option is if it's not town road down to there and you're not gonna plow it, would be to put the turnaround here, and there's 2 other driveways coming off of there, and you're at the bottom of the hill.
Yeah.
There's just no room.
Gotcha, right, okay.
So that's the theory of going down here. I personally can understand that you want that to be.
Yeah.
And from what Ron told me, as in an email, was the width that's required for these roads is based on how many residences are on there. So when you get down to here, it becomes 2 residences, which means the road could get more narrow. Here it's 3 still, so that's 16 feet.
18.
60.
3 to 5 is 16,
Okay.
and 2 and 1 is 14.
Right, so, basically from my viewpoint, with the exception of the ditching that we can still discuss.
It's a little narrow double line, you see that?
Right.
It's not a big ditch like you're,
Correct.
just a little,
Not a big ditch.
I mean,
Tiny
basically,
ditch.
it's a stone line ditch, but it runs along the edge of the travel lane, so it's not one of those 5, 8 foot wide monster ditches, if you want to call it that.
It's not
This
like
is-
what's going on Garfield Road.
I hope not, because that's why I'm in our room.
I'm gonna say,
But, basically, from what Ron was telling me in his email, if I understood correctly, was there really wouldn't be much difference in how it was treated. Except it would be a town road, which meant people would come down, but it was still, I would picture here, at this point in the summertime, that's 14 foot wide.
Now, how far from that turnaround is Scott's?
Scott is down here.
Yeah, he's not really offended. I mean, this is all my property.
But Scott can put a sign up down there
He can stop here.
beyond it. Yeah, he can put a sign up there.
My way of thinking, long and short of it, if you're gonna put town trucks on that road, it's gonna be a town road.
I don't argue with you.
Plain and simple.
Actually, Scott's the only one of us here and everyone else involved who the road never touches his property.
So it could remain sort of a country looking road.
Oh, sure.
Well, yeah, bigger road.
Oh, no,
or anything.
right.
You know, it's not gonna-
It's the same.
Yeah,
Pretty much the same.
Yeah, I think the main difference from Scott, when he said something at the site visit, and Mark French, who's the road foreman. The plow blade, the wing,
1, 2 feet.
but I get a 10-foot wide blade plus however wide you want to go, but generally they're looking at minimum 16 feet just to have both the plow and the wing down, which on which means the base of that road has got to be 18 plus or minus to support that truck, and so we don't have problems with that truck.
Which it is at this point.
And Mark would go down there with the wing like he has, probably not change a thing from whatever, well, except you get creeped on sometimes with the plows. If the trucks get bigger, you're so close to the road, but at least for what Mark was saying, he would go down there and push the snow back like usual, need a 50-foot right of way, watch out for drifts and all that business. And practically speaking, with a sort of a dead end road with a good base, you don't have the problems of some other roads where the grader has to go every, 6 weeks to keep things smooth. So naturally, the grass will come in and you get that unmaintained, narrow shoulder.
Mhm.
So what Scott was suggesting was do what we do for Diggins Road, which is we only plow the class 4 for winter to get to the fire pond at the top. We don't plow the rest of the class 4. We turn around at the fire pond. And we do very minimal summer maintenance. So I think that's what he was trying to slip. What is it called when you have this special case? Now Diggins Road is not the best example because that road should be one or the other.
Right.
Where we plow regular, you should have class 3. And where you don't, you can have class 4, or you shouldn't be on class 4 or private at all with a plow, ideally. But we're stuck in some of this historical mix-up stuff that we're trying to sort out. So if Scott's asking us to apply the Diggins Road standard, that's not really the best example because that's sort of unique on that hill and a lot of decisions in the past. Your case is we're trying to solve it for the future. So I'd rather say, you've got 2 choices. Either you have that class 3 all the way to the end and make it a standard class 3 road with regular maintenance, even though it might be practically less because that road's in good shape. You have regular town maintenance, we get state aid, just like every other class 3. Or you shorten up that turnaround and it'd be private after that. Or you have what Scott was saying, shorten that up and then have a class 4, which is this weird, it puts you in a weird position because we're doing almost the same exact maintenance, but we're getting no state aid at class 4.
Well, and your liability and everything else.
So I think the idea, we're trying to sort this all out, is just have a standard moving forward thing. And yes, there's a couple of anomalies like Diggins Road, we're still kind of sorting things out. But if the board says, make it a class 3 to here, then the turnaround goes in, that's one example. Shorten that up, have a private road after it, or turn around at Clark's was the other option, which is at the top of the hill and don't even go down the hill and have it all private down there, but that puts a burden on five homeowners. So 5 homeowners is sort of on the higher end of sort of abandoning public access.
Another way to look at that is, for the town perspective, if that was not class 3 to there, and we still turn around there, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but you could have a bunch of companies come and park all your vehicles there. And a county truck to go up there, we wouldn't have a place to turn around because we don't have no just. There you go.
Yeah. When the town might be that change that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But, yeah, again, from my viewpoint, this map and what you're suggesting works for me. As far as turnaround down there, ditch it as needed. There was some discussion, I had a discussion with Mary Walls. She was somewhat concerned as far as the culvert that is shown crossing Dusty Borden's drive. Yeah, but
The proposed 18 inch.
yeah, there's this one, and then there was this one that you were gonna add. So, that goes across her driveway. This comes in up above her driveway, obviously, the spring is like right in here.
Yeah,
Spring are those 2 houses, right there. So that's below the spring anyway, but then you are thinking another culvert in there.
So
Which,
can I ask a question about so what does that do to my piece of property? As far as, do I have to give you, so I give the town right away for how much of my land? Because that whole road goes through my property.
well, you already have a 50-foot right of way to us, so it would basically stay the same, would be my understanding.
Is that what's in?
Except the town.
Yeah, the deed is a 50-foot right of way, yeah. So it would be. stay there.
Same thing, not my land.
You do, yeah, okay. So that would be unchanged.
Right. And the problems that come up with this are the Clark saying, okay, as far as expanding the turnaround down there, because part of it's on their land, and I talked to Judy today, and she said that's no problem for them. And then,
Texted Luis, but I haven't heard back from him.
okay,
I'm sure he probably.
and the other one is the Garcias, because it's 30 foot partway down here. Right
But
here.
I wonder if
30 foot right.
So I wonder if that's, if he already has that, he probably has that history too.
Well, it's a 30 foot, they have a 30 foot part of the way and then a 50 foot we have.
Oh,
And the town will want a 50 foot from what I understand. So he would have to agree with that. And also, as it stands now, the road down here is not actually within the deeded right of way, it's outside.
Right.
So he would have to sort of move the 50 foot right of way, which isn't going to do anything to, I mean, it's going to be the same.
yeah.
It's not going to change anything as far as what they see or anything to the land.
So it goes to a class 3 road.
Right.
Scott ain't gonna want to do the turnaround,
I bet not, no.
which is fine,
Right,
which is fine. I understand that.
right.
I mean, put the money into a gate at the end of the turnaround where you don't want
Right.
hunters. I'd probably, most time you get traffic up there during that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And, you know, you post it. You know, hopefully keep them off of there.
Damn hunters.
But,
So they're darn hunters.
yeah.
No, I mean, how many cars a year do you have go down around that, your place, or it's probably 10 o'clock at night when the youngsters are running around or
Right.
sometime or something.
Yeah, it's random.
Yeah, it's random people. Certainly more people during hunting season, you see them drive down,
Yeah,
turn around. Sometimes they go to Scott's drive.
Go the wrong way.
well, that's what Scott don't want.
Right, exactly. But, so, yeah, the only thing that concerns me is what concerns Sherry as far as, what's it going to look like for her property and around her house. And, you know, I think if that can be minimized or figured out as to that it doesn't look bad and the road can be moved a reasonable amount, that she doesn't keep losing property. I mean, you know,
Maybe you can get it all back, right?
right, get it back, then I think, I'm happy with it.
I think once we get that water cut off before around the corner, that's gonna help.
Definitely.
I mean, I haven't had really problem with water coming over. I mean, my house is good and dry.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, the biggest thing is the sand that washes down the road and fills in that, but that will stop, right?
That's
With the
the,
dishes, where's the
well,
thing?
it should
It should.
help big time.
And the other thing is, if it's class 3 road, the town has to do the ditches.
Right.
Which I could do the ditches.
Right.
So,
As we all know, the weather's changing. You look at, I think it was last week when it rained so hard in 15 minutes. I mean, I've never seen a river run down behind my house like it did
right.
last week.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
You
the nature we're into.
You want to ditch yours to
Right.
send it down, send one your way.
Right.
Yeah.
But, you know, she said she wants to stop the washing the sand down. That's not 100%. That's
No, but it's
probably,
gonna slow it down.
Slow it down.
Yeah.
it's hard to live on a dirt road for that.
Is there always ever sand in the dirt?
Well, you figure all winter long, they sand the roads.
Oh, is it? It seemed like when I really noticed it was after they graded the road. After they put the
Well,
stuff
that's
down.
true too. It loosens up all the dirt on top and stuff.
Right.
Yes, that's true.
Cause that's when we had it, that's when it filled up that ditch like one storm last year.
As long as we're talking Beam Road,
Yes.
the other side of the hill on Beam Road, down to Garfield, is that up to what it's supposed to be ditch wise?
No.
Over by the tower, I mean, come out by the tower?
Just off the beach. it's
I would
right off
notice
the-
that.
Right up Garfield as you come up the hill off Garfield. It's steeper than coming down our side of the hill, and that's always washing out. I mean, it's always needing grading, and the ditch doesn't look like much of anything. Just,
The town's in the process of buying an excavator. Maybe we can get a lot more of the ditching done then.
sounds good.
But ditching is a big thing for all the
Yeah,
towns,
sure.
Yeah.
all the towns.
Can be
Can't
more so
imagine how
too.
many hundreds of miles you have to go through.
Okay, so I guess what we need to decide is, what are we doing with this road?
There's a formal process that needs to start. Before you start the formal process, you need to approve
Figure out where we're
some
going.
plan, yeah, approve some kind of
Where are we
plan.
going?
to
Right.
Move that forward. We can't warn stuff with a debate on what the final layout needs to be. So 50-foot right of way is good. The turnaround size is good. Shifting the road a little bit easterly. I think there's a 29-foot measurement now from the roadside to Sherry's front door.
Sounds right.
It was one of those plans, so is that what we're gonna try to protect, no closer than 29 feet? You know,
Yeah, originally, if we
don't
can get it, if we can,
don't allow it to creep or whatever, you
yeah,
know?
we don't want to creep, but could we make it 32?
Well,
So-
there's an electrical box.
And then the classification, so class 3, class 4, private. We also have a question on the through road, let's call it, from Trombley Hill, which is now called Fayette Farm Road,
Right.
which is also connecting the Beam Road on the
Yeah,
maps.
that's Highway 52.
So that's listed sort of funky on the state highway map. So we need to clarify that as part of this. We'll do it all as one action, so to speak.
That road's not travelable through there, is it?
I would think so.
No, not really. It's walkable.
No, I think it's shown as a class 4.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll probably do, on Webster Road, we turn to a public trail to keep the right of way.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Probably do that on.
I think we have to do that.
So that's a second item, but the main item is Beam Road.
Right.
The second item is clarifying, I think it's Town Highway 50 or 52 that cuts across.
Can I ask a question here, Ron? Maybe you can interpret for me. In front of Sherry's house, they had 18-foot.
To the right of way. To the right of way,
Is that to the right of way?
yeah,
And what's this 29-foot?
edge of road,
That's the edge of road, okay.
that's existing condition.
And then it says move right away offset to maintain setback from a house.
Yeah, you can't do that. There's not enough room to maintain a setback, but I think if the road is shifted more towards the center of the right of way, it's sort of, I think if you're plowing coming down that hill, gravity force the road a little bit towards the west, which is towards your house. If we brought the road back to center a little bit, that might be the best we can do during that ditch work. Yeah, it's sort of offset to the west, if you will, if you take the center line of the 50. So that would be a fine-tuned, job, staking the right way, staking the center, and seeing how far it has to be moved. But not getting any closer than what it is now.
I think it's hard when they come down there. I think sometimes they just
Hello.
go in at such a speed that they
Right.
come around.
Yeah.
And that tree's dead now, probably because that was,
Well, it's around the corner. and
the
it's dead.
roots
Yeah.
were,
And again, that's
Oh, right, that's a large tree.
it is a big tree. And
You're
it-
gonna shut my tower off in 2 hours.
Any particular reason or?
I don't know.
Need help with
You
the-
You need a loan? I can.
Didn't pay the bill. Why do these people get your cell phone numbers anyways? Okay,
Let me see, so that Chastity, you got any questions, Brian?
No,
I'm all
good.
set.
Okay, so is our plan to go with the plan that we have?
So how does that work? I mean,
Well, we have to decide first of all what the plan is, and then we can start the formal process of moving forward, but when we select, we have to decide, or is this the plan? Do we change it? We want to ignore the whole thing? Especially for a number of
this should give you a little bit more frontage on your lawn, right?
That's the hope, we get you a
A
little.
little.
Yeah, it's not gonna be a lot, but right.
Right, yeah, there's no way around that, water has to go somewhere.
So,
As far as I'm
okay,
concerned.
Dave, Rowley, what do you?
Well, I see.
Yeah, the plan that we've got, but
Yeah.
just, yeah, no, I think it
You
makes
think
sense. It's
seems
gonna
like a
be,
good plan?
What's that?
You think it seems like a good plan? I just.
I do, you know, Scott's not gonna be happy, but,
that's
I
why.
think that's the only way out.
Yeah. And for the, yeah.
No, I certainly agree with that assessment. And I think, again, I'm hoping that basically what we'll see is not much changes.
I don't think you're gonna, but.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
The water will go down.
The turnaround's going to look bigger. Other than that, the road itself will stay about what it is with better ditching.
But not too gigantic.
Well, when it's all happening, it'll look,
It'll look big.
It always looks worse before it looks
then
okay.
get a year or so.
Yeah,
That's it.
okay, Chastity, were you okay with the plan?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Brian?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess what we need is a motion to move forward with the proposed plan, or no, that's what we're doing?
Yeah, I think the next step is the legal formal type process, which takes a while to get going.
Okay.
Some work with the surveyor to fine tune whatever's not quite done on the road survey. And then a whole round of public notice, another site visit. Anybody can formally object at the hearing. Select board has to make a determination that's public good to do this new class 3 road to the turnaround.
Mhm.
Those are the facts that could be argued on an appeal. The appeal goes to Superior Court if somebody in the neighborhood objects. And then once that appeal period ends, which is 30 days after they issue their decision, then it's done. I think in the interim, because that process, just even what I just said, is going to push us into winter. Probably have a motion on the reverse side to keep maintaining Beam Road as has been.
Right.
So that we clear that up, that we're doing this consciously as unclassified town highway with winter maintenance for this 1 year.
It's almost the same thing we had over on Bottle Road.
Basically,
Yeah, the Mason Road, yeah. Yeah.
until it got cleared up.
Right.
So that would be good to have that on record as we're
Okay.
winter maintenance as usual.
Okay, so we need a motion to do winter maintenance for another year. That'll be,
So
yeah,
moved.
okay,
Second.
okay, got a second? You got it, Chastity and Brian? Let's take care of it for another winter the way we are.
Good.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? Okay. All right, now, we have other people, so I just did week 2. What do you need? So we do things in the order, so you.
One more
don't have to-
second. is that-
Okay,
So what we're doing at this point is whoever is going to start moving this process forward. Thank you.
Yeah.
And we're talking a year to go through the process.
No, we've
and
done,
hopefully then next spring we can do the work. I think that would be.
yeah, we've done these, depending on all the difficulties of whatever, 3 to 6 months to get
Yeah.
a final.
Yeah, so that gives us the time to get it so that it can get
But
done.
then the town do the work.
Yes. Okay,
Does that work?
works for me.
Okay?
Thanks for coming in, guys.
Well,
Jerry's like, yeah.
I'll just plan cauliflower.
Thank you for your time.
No, thank you for
Go ahead. No.
plodding through it here. Okay,
Read that.
Yes.
Okay. ARPA funds.
Can I just ask?
sure.
Are they now?
Well,
Are we
it's-
gonna talk about Prospect Street?
Go ahead. I don't-
well, I don't have,
Prospect Street is after a couple of items.
Yeah.
It's on the agenda.
yeah, it's not right, right, okay, back to ARPA.
ARPA funds for the Hyde Park water system.
Okay,
We'd like to get some of those funds granted to us. If we could for engineering and upgrades.
okay. You have any idea how much?
How much for engineering?
Yeah.
In the $30,000 range.
Okay. With this town, we have a total of
Wait.
280? Yeah,
260 was the first, 250, yeah, 260 was the first bunch. The total ARPA, which includes municipal and federal, because there's two different pots of money coming between now and next summer, is 750,000. So that's the pot of money. Then there's 4 or 5 categories that are eligible, including water systems. Because you're not part of the municipality, the select board can recognize another entity. Because you didn't have access to ARPA, but you're within the town of Hyde Park.
Right.
So that would take a special consideration that they're a separate municipality within the town.
so you're about 30,000 for
Yeah,
being,
in that area.
Yeah.
Ballpark.
so that's sort of where we are with all of this stuff right now. It's kind of ballparks. What is this engineering going to show you or develop for you?
It's gonna replace our Astral tank we have now into smaller tanks. Which may be easier to replace going down the road because the tank that's in there right now is 40 years old. And they advise us that that could fail at any time.
Okay, and then if you, again, this would just be the engineering study, and part of that study would be to give a reasonable estimate as to what it would cost to do all the work.
That's the end results of that.
Right. Plus you have the plan, and you know what you need to do.
Right.
How, I'm gonna say, how does this tie into allowing North Hyde Park to be able to do some expansion? Could you be able to serve more people
There's
or
always that-
businesses or whatever, right?
There's always that possibility. It's just a matter of where development's gonna go.
Right,
You know, I mean, if they're headed north, then that certainly it could be expanded. But we're not going to go too far because of the National Guard's up there,
right,
you know? And then everything that's in industrial park
Yeah.
already is on the system,
it's already on the system, okay, okay,
you know? And then we've extended as far as air gaiters on Fair Street.
yeah, okay,
So if you get development going that way, then certainly you could expand some going out.
okay. But the plan would build in some capacity for that kind of expansion, I guess that's what I, while we're doing it.
The tanks that we have there does have capacity at this point to serve more people. It's the piping within the building and astral tank that pressurizes it that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Do we need some,
Yeah, so they back up a little bit. The planning commission and select board approved a $60,000 planning advance request for North Hyde Park sewer system. It's a decentralized sewer. In that application to the state, we added a paragraph that because the sewer district, if there was going to be a sewer district for the public, would overlap with the water district service area. And generally speaking, if you're going to be looking at sewer detail, you want to make sure you're capturing all the water. So hopefully part of the planning advance there will get to some of the longer term issues with the water district. He's here tonight on an immediate need, not a long-term need, but I think your question is good too, because we may not be able to expand area wise, but density.
Capacity wise.
Yeah, capacity to meet new densities. There's density provisions in North Hyde Park, which are sort of unlimited except for the coverage of the land.
Right.
So even though everybody's used to 2 acres for every house or 5 acres for every house, North Hyde Park has a district that says any number of homes, as long as you don't cover more than 70% of the ground. So basically you can go up for density.
Gotcha. Okay.
So they can't do that with no water capacity. They can't do that without a sewer capacity. But technically you could do it if you had water and sewer capacity.
That's true.
So I think you're right describing the district as relatively constrained, one by Johnson,
Right.
one by the guard.
Right.
One by a bunch of currently active farms on Jones Road.
Right.
That creep up and get you from the east side.
Right.
And the south side, it's sort of the same thing. I don't know how far south you go to 100C or not.
Oh, we right at 100C.
Yeah.
So
So
great project.
you might catch a few more houses there, but there's no new development proposed that far out. You actually get out of the density zoning at that point.
Okay.
So you pretty much cover the areas that could be infilled or developed.
How many people you have on your system now?
Yeah, 95 hookups.
What would be your maximum?
The water supply is bigger. I don't know what the max would be, but I think we've got 6 to 10 and 30 to 60.
Yeah, we got 100 gallons.
We got 100,000 gallons of water. We're not even using that, only half of that. But it's just that the system is 35, 45 years old. And that tank's supposed, that pressure tank's supposed to be 35 years. And we're
As
looking at,
usual, we all push it, right?
yeah, well, and then the state's pushing on that or something. They want us to come up with a plan, but the plan costs money.
Yeah.
And, we just don't have the money to do the plan without, knowing what it's gonna cost to get the whole thing done, so we can figure what the rate's gonna be, not just throw a number out there.
Well,
Like other things.
Go ahead.
We'll all clear our throats and go, yeah, okay.
I mean,
Well, and
and will give us an idea what we have to raise rates. So.
well, and again, depending on the money that is available, and I think slowly but surely nationally, they're beginning to figure out that there's a desperate need in this country. It's not just Vermont. For making money available. It's like everything got done after World War II, and we've done nothing since then for an awful lot of it, so it's all collapsing. It's really expensive. So it seems to me it would be really important looking future wise that we take care of this study and figure out what you need to do to your water system. Because if you're going to go out and you're starting working on the sewer system and trying to figure that whole district, it is right to go together, but it would be kind of pointless to not improve the water system and bother to think about you doing anything with the sewer system. I mean, that's sort of what you got to do. But, okay, I think, do we have Chastity, Brian, got any questions?
No, I'm all set.
No,
I was thinking that sometime sort of early October, we sit down with some of these early requests, because you get some of the money in. And of course, some of this, everybody looking at doing everything, getting an engineer lined up, getting these sorts of things lined up may take some time.
You have the engineer all lined up.
Yeah.
It's all been had lined up for over a year, but you haven't
Gotcha.
been able to get us any grant.
Gotcha, okay.
And
Well, even
so
better.
they don't want to go any further unless they have some money.
Can this gentleman help you, this Patrick,
Yeah, I was gonna suggest that.
LCPC? Said he's got money.
LED.
Tonight's first night that I actually heard anything about this guy.
Right.
Yeah.
So I have no problem in contacting him
Okay.
as such, but
Right.
You have to be Matt.
I'm gonna be in on my meeting.
No, well, but that's good, but again, I am, having read a bunch about, with ARPA and the kinds of things they're looking for, I mean, I think this is the kind of project that fits very well into the, you know, into that sort of funding is trying to build infrastructure, so when bad things happen, communities have their infrastructure and they can, you know, we get through a difficult time, you know, so, you know. But again, thinking about having a meeting sometime here fairly soon to say, here are the ones that we have, how do these fit into the ARPA, do they? So that we can say, yes, here's how we want to start to spend some of the money. So we can start getting some projects. Everything that anybody wants to do is going to involve planning and having folks come in for estimates and stuff. So to start to move some of this.
Yeah, as Dave was noting, I think there's and what Pat said earlier, there's a way to get a project leveraged between the town, your customer base, because they shouldn't get totally freebie, right? And other grants and sources. So if this all comes together, then LEDC typically would be a good partner directly with you because you're your own municipality, but also to say that the town is considering whatever dollar amount.
Right.
Versus zero, you know what I mean? So if the town is willing to assist with some of the municipal ARPA, Pat Ripley could leverage that and triple that or something and get construction out of that. I mean,
okay.
Yeah.
So what's the next one?
I think Susan was trying to, the board should make some commitments at some point on ARPA, because even though we have until December 24 to make decisions on the money.
Yeah.
The later you wait, the more the must spend is gonna hit. So there's time, but not time for you if you're already in emergency mode, so.
Yeah.
I don't, that's up to the board to see how quick they want to do that, but I would say that LEDC is gonna need a couple weeks to understand your situation. Well, at least, you know, and try to talk to you and all that other business, but.
Well, and I think where they may really be helpful is after you have an engineering study and you're really looking for a lot of money to help, to have time to go look for that kind of thing.
So, which I agree with you, but you know, you gotta be able to present facts or somebody is, but we, you know, that's kind of like caught between the rock and a hard place.
Right,
Because
exactly.
we gotta figure out how we're gonna pay the engineer.
Right. And, yeah. I personally am empathetic to using the ARPA money to get this one launched, and then you got time to figure everything else out,
Sure.
you know, so to get the planning stuff done and going.
Okay.
I'll see if I can talk other people.
Sounds like fun.
So yeah, what's next? I think you reach out to LEDC directly.
Just let them know, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And then I think the board should be making a decision on ARPA in general at some point. And that's a special meeting or something.
Yeah, I think.
To decide if anybody gets any money within the foreseeable future. You're just on borrowed time right now with that pressure.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I have the money tomorrow, I call the engineer and we're rolling.
Yeah.
That's kind of where we're at on that.
They have all the plans, you know, the system, it happened for over 2 years. So we haven't got nowhere.
Okay, we'll see if
We
we
can't
can.
keep thinking that, you know, that's not gonna happen.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Thank you.
You'll be invited to the next meeting on ARPA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Somebody let me know and
We
Come
will,
back.
we'll be back. All right.
we will
Thanks.
definitely do that. Yeah.
See you, Rich.
Take care.
See you, Roger.
See you.
Okay. Okay, we'll jump to Prospect Street is.
Good.
I got him. Okay, Prospect Street.
Well, do you guys want to start and explain what your plan is? Or do you just want me to? Sorry, I've been working since 6:30 this morning.
Right.
I got something from Ron outlining some updates. I guess I'm a little overwhelmed after hearing such a long discussion about a roadway because I feel like we've had very sporadic conversations about Prospect Street. And I know I've been a pain in the neck about it, but we still have people on, there's 10 houses on the street, and we still have people who don't know, haven't heard a thing about what's gonna happen. I guess, you know, I worked for the city of Burlington. I lived in South Burlington and lived on a very tiny street that was paved by a plow truck. They never were very happy about it, but it was a little pickup truck. There were 70 houses down there and they had to navigate, and here's my concern. Last September, we had all these, the trees taken down in the cul-de-sac. We were told it was a simple paving project, and that's why we didn't need to be notified. Now it's become a bigger project. There is going to be a stormwater drainage system, I guess. So it is a bigger project now. People have come to Prospect Street. That's been very helpful to try to talk about it, but then plans keep changing a little bit. And so I never feel like there's this conclusive understanding of anybody in the neighborhood about what the heck is going on. Last time, not this past, but one time ago, there was talk about moving an electric pole so that the road didn't cut in so close to Peggy Marcoux place. People seemed excited about that idea from here.
That cost $30,000.
Well, then I heard it cost $30,000, and so, but we didn't do that. I just heard that from the village foreman. I didn't hear it from you guys.
Right. Well,
So
that's
all
who
of
we
a
heard
sudden,
it from.
so all of a sudden, the
Right.
next thing I know, you've developed a plan. Didn't tell anybody that we weren't gonna do the electric pole. And this roadway is getting larger. And what I'm concerned about is our traffic comes in by the church. And the most cars that you'll see on that street are parked by the church. Up until you get to the governor's house driveway, that back driveway that goes into the garage.
Yeah.
After that, you don't, I've been there 8 years. You don't see cars like having to navigate around each other past that point. We don't have that much traffic now. So the idea of like all of a sudden expanding this roadway to, I don't know, I keep hearing different, like 10 feet from the center, 25 feet from the center. There's no, I don't understand what's happening. And we have some people who wanted to be here, but they're at the community circle. And another woman who got married. So, you know, there's people who are concerned here about what they're losing on, because I think you're concerned about plowing. And that's partially why I brought up this thing about South Burlington where I used to live, because there is a way to deal with the plowing on that street without enlarging it so much. We have UPS trucks, we have garbage trucks, they all get down there. I don't think we need to expand the road, maybe up until the governor's house driveway, maybe there. The rest of it, I don't understand why we have to do it. I mean, you get a pickup truck that goes down, plows down one side, you already agreed that you were gonna do like a circle. you know, so you, and we're gonna make it one
Right,
way.
a new one
You
way.
have one-way circle, and
So
the
it
road
doesn't
is
have to
gonna
be
be
that way.
small.
Right.
It's gonna be small, the last I heard, and then all of a sudden now the plan.
I don't know if it's ever been small.
Why can't it just be the same size it is now? Why does it have to expand? You've already got roads in the village that are smaller, actually.
I don't, the measurements I remember are basically 3 lanes from Main Street to the mansion's backyard there, with the parking garages,
Yeah.
because there's
Yeah.
parking on, the 1 lane is for parking. And then in the corner, we transitioned from, that's 24 feet wide, down to 16 feet where it straightens out again. And then when you get to the loop, it splits into 10-foot lane around the loop. That's what I remember. And it's not that much different from what's there.
Now, are they
Okay.
putting, are
That's
they
the
putting the
pace.
tandems down there?
I'm not sure. I think they mixed. They had the small at one time.
Because I can recall when this meeting started, that
I think it's the one ton that goes down.
we were,
Reynolds truck goes down. It's the one ton, right?
we were supposed to plow that only with the 1-ton truck.
Yeah. Pretty sure that goes down.
Now, are the big dump trucks going down there?
I don't remember.
No.
I don't think the big
No,
tandems can
no,
turn
no,
around.
no, they're going down.
Well, we did. We had a huge one for a while, and then
I think it's 6-wheel built.
Mark, yeah, that single axle one down
The
there.
single side, yeah.
But it should be just
I don't
that.
think the tandems can fit up there. Mark tried to turn around his pickup truck, and he barely could make that corner of the loop with his pickup truck, 350. So I'm pretty sure there's no way to turn
trucks
it.
have always done fine. I'm not sure why this one person can't make it, but
No, it's the turning radius. So the tandems definitely could not make it. We know that. So whatever's on down there, they have paved road, and it does get narrower down to 10 feet. So trucks are,
so now you're saying it is gonna be 10.
it's always been that way. It narrows from the wide
Let's see what it is now.
I know, but you and I have had
to narrow. all the way.
emails back and forth, and the last you said was 25 feet.
No, never,
No?
never.
Not 25 feet.
You're talking about right of way width.
Yeah.
25 feet is right of way width from the center of the road, which is different than the travel lane. I'm talking about travel lane narrowing as you get
Right.
further down the road.
So how much wider is it gonna be than it is now?
I don't know that. It's not much wide. I think we might be 13 to 14 feet, maybe where it is now, of the
What?
straightaway
Oh,
in front of Peggy's, maybe, and then it goes to 10 feet. Some of the trucks are 8 feet wide if you're lucky, a 10-foot blade. So we can have it much narrower than 10 feet. But anyway, the point of all this stuff was to deal with multiple issues. So you had the right of way width, where the road was off center, and then it's going to be put closer to Peggy's. Then we had the stormwater issue, which is the septic grant, which we still don't have a confirmation on dollar amount yet. And then we have the road resurfacing, which was where this all started, because people are trying to walk on the road. So we have all 3 of those things. We have all 3 of
Talking
those.
about a 100-year-old man who was having trouble.
Oh, it's terrible. Yeah, so we've been
Well,
trying to,
yeah, but that's not why you completely changed like the whole landscape of a road.
I don't
Because
think,
you also told me you'd never put sidewalks down there. It's like, well, anyway.
I don't think the landscape is changing that much from what you have now. You have a road that goes into a village setting, and we're not changing the whole thing to 22 feet, which is our standard. So if you want, the standard plan was one of the early plans, which showed it all paved right over and a big loop at the end. That's our standard plan. So the neighbors objected, and the select board said, let's make the loop back the way it was.
Well, they objected after you cut down the tree without letting anybody know.
Well, and some of those
You
trees
had-
are dead. Okay, you need to understand. Talk with the road.
Those
so
are,
they-
the white pines don't belong in the middle of the road. But anyway, the issue we have now is putting back vegetation inside the loop that is appropriate for a town maintained road. There's no objection from the town to turn that to a private road either on the reverse side. And we haven't heard anybody say that yet, turn around at Sue Bowden's and go back out to Main Street. So we're not talking about that. We're trying to take public highway, just like with Beam Road, and get to a standard that's easily maintained, well drained, and the neighborhood can work with it. And that's what Peter Danforth offered his help at the site visit. And he said, great, if you guys aren't going to get to digging up this road and putting it back, I'll have time to work with the neighbors on a planting plan and try to get some of this character back that you feel like was lost. So it's not an all or nothing thing. The town has spent more time on Prospect Street than almost any other project.
It may be.
I'm just saying,
I think it may be, but I think we're a small town. I mean, the fact that I work for Burlington, I've seen Burlington be much more forward thinking as far as making sure their residents know what the heck is going to happen to their neighborhood. That's all. I mean, I felt like along the way, everything kept getting changed.
Well, of course, if you're involved
We
with the
have
design
planners coming in
process,
and doing it, and you're designing it, so that's obviously.
you're being dragged along the design process. I mean, I've seen some towns that say, here's the design and here's your notice that we're going to do this. So you're in that in-between part where we don't engage residents in design typically. The town has never done that. So you're sort of at the first or second row.
Okay, I don't really mean to get into an argument about it, but I just feel like when you are going to change the look of a neighborhood, you might just want to tell the neighbors. That's all.
The neighbors have been part of this run over.
I have letters from September 4th of last year when all of a sudden Mary Ann O'Donnelly is writing to you and going, oh my God, here's all the reasons that what you just did the other day is devastating to our street. So anyway,
It's been a long year. We're still not
has
even,
been a long.
we're not even close to construction yet, but we'll be getting, hopefully, if the planets align, the stormwater. And that's still an iffy thing because we don't have parts and pieces yet and we don't have money. So worst case scenario, nothing gets done and we have hopefully a busy spring, summer for the project to get it all done next year.
So then you were going to put stakes up. Somebody was going to put stakes up to show how wide that road was going to be.
Right, so the Jay Hutchins, who has the contract for the work, said that he would stake out the new edge of pavement when the stormwater gets started. So that will be part of that first step. And then everybody will be able to see exactly where the new pavement's gonna go. And that will be the final change really to the neighborhood, will be where the new edges of this pavement go because of the realignment on the corner, but also how it transitions from wide to 16 to 10. You'll be able to see that. And that still is not quite resolved yet. I mean, there's still a plan. I just got a plan this morning I need to look at from someone engineering. Oh, I made those changes to the stormwater because so-and-so had some elevation issue. You know, so you're right in the middle of a design project, which is
So
not.
when did you decide, because you said this was not a major, you said it was just a simple repaving project, is what you said last September in an email.
Well, that's all we were gonna do. And then the neighborhood got involved, we wanted to do more, and then that triggered, we need to do all the stormwater. So as soon as you step out of doing something really simple, it triggers all these other things that the state wants us to do. So there you gotta get into the stormwater. How do you deal with all the water? What do we do with this? That gets into a giant planning process. And we were, again, it made sense with the big project that the village was doing. So that to connect with doing the paving as part of as the village got things done. Well, in the village and any gigantic project can inevitably run into time snags, which the villages run into when they ran into up on Fitch Hill by Rowley, getting through the ledge. So everything just gets, okay, so now things get pushed off a little bit more. And with the, again, with lots of feedback from the neighbors, trying to figure out how to have the stormwater work. So it aesthetically fits in, you know, what you want to do and get planted. And that's where the good side of the village project taking so much longer. So this is taking longer when we finally get the plans. Is this fellow Peter Danforth can come in and work with you folks and figure out, okay, here's what we want. We were having a lot of conversations about that last week when we met? Mm-hmm. Right. You know, about what that needs to, you know, to look like.
So what do we need to do as a neighborhood? I still don't feel like of the 10 houses that we're all involved, that we all know what's going to happen. So
Well, they're just on an email list and they get the emails around.
So should I just collect people's email list so you have like a prospect?
I have the posted plans always on the website. because people are asking. So like say, it's on the website, you can go and look at it. If you can't read a plan, that's different. You know, we could probably have some people
Well, I
who
could
do
see
it.
the plan, but I couldn't see how
Not you.
wide the street is.
Not you specifically, but if a person has trouble reading a plan, you could add color to it to make it better, you know, so people can see things a little easier. The stakes in the ground is always a good step, you know, when people actually see that. So physically doing something out there like stakes should notify the whole neighborhood that this is the new edge of pavement to fill in those
Well,
gaps.
we have a neighbor right now who's like planting, spent all weekend planting, like right along the road.
Yeah.
So I walked over, I said, you know, you might want to just,
I think she's
Be
aware.
aware.
Yeah, she's aware that it's at risk of a blade. Yeah.
so,
So that's possible.
okay, so my main concern, I mean, Peg, I don't know, I think she just gave up on hoping her tree wasn't gonna die. And,
But we had a long conversation with her, right, you know, about replacing it and even seeing about taking some cuttings from it so we can plant it onto a newer version of the tree,
Yeah.
but to do that.
Yeah.
And can give it a while to see, you never know what trees are going to decide to do, if it survives or not, and can try that and then plant another one later.
So could I just make a pitch for, you know, I don't know if you're,
And I,
if you spend like your time worried about the town stuff as opposed to the village, I could just put a pitch in for. I just think we're a small area that could be more user friendly. I'm still confused after 8 years about what the village does and what the town does, and I'm better at it now. But it took a long time, you know.
Well, I'm on the
figured-
select board and I'm confused, so.
And, you know, I don't know. I guess I just,
can you have an example of what you'd like to see?
I think a mailing could have gone out, honestly, to the
Old-fashioned.
neighbors.
Paper mailing right to
Yeah.
the.
Because people, you know, sometimes we say, well, it's on Front Porch Forum. Well, some people just don't. You might miss it, you know, or,
Well, if you could just make sure that Ron has all the emails, that would certainly help, because
That would help.
you know,
definitely.
that's easy.
You know,
to
it
do.
sticks in the back of my mind about that place out there. As a taxpayer, I'm speaking as a taxpayer. The town puts all this work into that road out there. How long is it gonna be before the village says there's a new water system going in?
Well, I know. That's where I started this whole conversation.
I mean,
Last year. It's like, wait, you're gonna plow this?
Is it
I mean,
gonna-
you're gonna pave
Right.
this? But what's gonna happen when it's time for pipes? We weren't gonna get
I
pipes,
still know.
honestly. So,
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. And I guess I'm also concerned, you know, about fire protection, but we talked about that too. I'm not sure if we have great fire protection on that street, but. I don't know. So I guess I just am nervous for that little street. Feels like the town came in and sort of took over, didn't really talk to people. Anyway, that's enough. I'm sorry, I've been up way too early.
No,
And,
that's okay.
I
Well,
just,
it's nice that people care, you know, even if sometimes we get an earful, that's okay, because people are concerned and they're involved in the community. That's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
That's not a bad thing at all.
okay, so I'll get some additional email information for you. And
Yeah, and there would be
Well, it's-
updates coming from
yeah.
time to time. Yeah.
If we got some idea when they're gonna stake it.
Well, the grant funding is next. Will we get grant money?
Yes.
You know, for the stormwater? That's the next thing we're kind of like
Which
sitting
she
on.
said should be the next couple of weeks, right? And that was.
Hopefully, yeah. And now it's this Friday instead of last Friday. Yep.
And then once we have that, let everybody know that, and then being optimistic, we get that grant funding. Then they can figure out when to come and do the stakes. And part of their hope, and again, this is so many things depend on the work, that they can start doing the stormwater this fall, right? Or did I dream about it? That's right.
That was the commitment from Hutchins that if planets aligned and parks were here, that they would do the work before this winter. So it's
Right, so that they get the stormwater part done, which would then line up nicely for next year, getting the paving done.
Okay.
Because the village, I don't think they have any idea when they're gonna be able to bite off another financial project.
Well, if they could get some federal funding.
They got a little bit, but not as much as the town. They did get some under our.
And so the town doesn't help the village with that stuff?
The town could, just like the fire district here is a private water district, so the village could ask for some of that ARPA money. They haven't asked. They asked because they didn't get any.
Right.
The town purposely, under state law, is not supposed to help fund the water system. That is supposed to be user funded. On a special grant like this, you probably could make it one time, but not on a daily, weekly basis. It's supposed to be water rate customers that pay the bill. ARPA would be a special case though. Or vote at town meeting day, our water system's in danger, want to raise the taxes of the town. Then you start thinking, should the town take over the water district? And that's a whole nother,
Then you'll know.
towns get split by that kind of discussion. Yeah, the town people and village people start fighting on those kind of money issues, but ARPA would be a special request on its own. That could happen.
Another subject. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Thank you. Let's go to something fun like GPS on town cloud.
Okay. Roads, and roads. Yes.
Did everybody get the email that we got from the state about how to use their GPS and how that's worked for them?
I don't think so. Let me see.
Okay, that was.
Want me to send that around?
Yeah.
I
that
did
was
it
very
on my machine's locked.
I can find that.
I already know, because I run them to the GPS.
This is Chastity and Brian. I'm going to email. Brian, do you want me to use the BAS? Or Brian for email that I'm going to send?
Yeah, now I can unmute it.
You're emailing something now,
Yeah.
Ron? If you
Yes.
could, because I'm not,
What
I'm
was
not
the
at my
question
house,
again?
I have my,
Oh, yeah, Brian, I just want to know if you wanted an email sent to you to the BAS address or Brian S.
Tell me like since then.
So, well, 2 years ago.
I'd like, if you could send it to my personal one, Ron, that
yes.
would be great, so I can access that on my phone,
Okay.
please.
Well, you want your email?
Yeah, but it won't pop up.
Bring it up to my phone,
Okay,
then I would bring it right off the phone together.
okay.
Mine locks up too like that. I don't know what to do after that.
I know what to do with it then.
I don't think somebody would be too happy. I don't know why it does it. I can't figure it out.
Okay.
I don't know. Shelley figures. Probably one of the kids could figure it out.
Tell you, good, okay. Chastity didn't mind today. Chastity didn't mind mine.
That once.
Okay.
So,
It's buried.
I've been updated. It's just what I need to do, get updated. Been updated. Make it all you see.
Make one of those for me.
Whatever that is. I'll show you, Dave.
I'm the same person, don't shut my door off.
Okay, that's right.
Sunday morning, I woke up, got to see the email I had. How these people get your email?
Tell you.
Ron, I haven't gotten anything, I don't know if you sent it.
No, I'm looking for, I had your old, but I can't.
Wait,
You can get it forwarded to All right, I sent that out, so people should get it shortly. All right, Roland, you see it?
It's just got something. Yep. Loading, it's loading. This load, that's not been. There's. There, Dave. You see that?
Well, I might as well cut them scope.
so what here, while we're getting it, and I don't think Brian will be able to get it or not with his spotty.
What's that?
Did you find Chester?
No, I still take lots and send it to
The
her.
Ernie Pat was the one that sent this, right?
Yeah.
So what are you guys looking at?
The email.
Oh, okay, right. The long and the short of it was really that the state has been very
Happy with
very happy with it, and that it's, they said, you want to sit down and talk to your road crew about it, because the state was, ooh, it's it, and they found it has really been helpful. Because, and people say, well, you didn't plow and they can say, well, yeah, as a matter of fact, here's all the things, and it's helped with accidents and a variety of things.
Mhm.
And that they have found it to be a very beneficial, and including the drivers have found it to be very beneficial. And there've been a couple of lawsuits where it's been really beneficial to be able to say, here's where the vehicles were.
You haven't sanded my road in 3 hours. You can look back on your thing, and we're up there an hour and a half ago.
Yeah.
So the guy that slid off the road and complained
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
Probably driving too fast.
Yeah.
All that. Grader?
Yeah.
People in Mass are grading last couple of years.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
And it also helps. You can't manage anything that you don't have any avenues to measure.
Can't even ask the question.
That's right.
Yeah, right. So, and they'll come up and do
Verizon has some kind of demo package that they come in, whoever wants to attend, and then
It's like you pay a payment every year, like this is saying $2,000.
yeah, it's depending on how many trucks you send.
Right.
So 18 a month times trucks times 12. Or vehicles or equipment or whatever you want.
whatever you want to attach it to.
Yeah, a lot of the newer equipment has GPS capacity, but it's related to the engine or something like that. It's collecting information on the truck and sending it. So you can sort of see its operation, but it's not tracking the location necessarily. So you can match the two.
Right.
You could technically match the two and say, I don't know if it gets down to how fast a truck was going and when it went off the road kind of question.
Right.
That's another thing. It was stopped on the highway, hopefully it can tell you that. And then somebody rear-ended it.
Yeah.
Those kind of accident type reviews. But data collection is the kind of the main reason for the demo is what are we going to do with it?
Yes, yeah, we'll just see what it is.
What data does it collect and how do other places use it?
I know we use ours on the cruiser over there. And so we get in to get the fob.
Yeah.
You start to carry, go beep, to fob it, which sets your GPS. And it comes onto the screen up in dispatch where it carries it.
Sure, okay, right.
So in case of emergency, I know this is gonna be a different scenario altogether, but in case of emergency, somebody had a problem up in Garfield. The dispatch can look at it right there, or say, well, we got Karen Centerville right now on dispatch.
Yeah, gotcha, yeah.
Also, it tells our speed, also tells me our movements.
Oh,
But the
okay.
good part about it, it tells us where that car is if it stopped. So if I'm out and at 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock or whenever my 42 in to say I'm off duty and I don't do it, they can look at my car is and send help if needed.
Oh,
So you
okay.
can do
Yeah,
all sorts of things.
Yeah,
with
I'm
stuff.
sure. And I think that would be the, having them come out and demo it. And I think let's see, we want to, I'm happy to go up and talk to the road crew to say, because I think when they do it, we want them to be part of it. We want them to see the advantage of, of doing this. And again, that's where I think for everybody in sharing the email from the state, since they were, ahead of us and have done it, and how I understand anything new like that with the, you got questions and are you spying on me or you did, and it's like, no, here, it has been so beneficial that everybody is really enjoying it.
But it does also work the other way. If those trucks didn't move for a whole day.
The only thing, Susan, I think on that, what you just said,
Yeah.
you would go up and talk to the
Yeah.
highway crew. That's Brian's job. He's the liaison officer for the highway crew, so that should be Brian. Well,
Okay, when's he,
Gets back.
he's getting back shortly, right?
Yeah, next week.
Yeah, when do you get back next week, Brian?
Say again?
You're gonna be back
just-
next week?
I should probably step into your flyer.
Nah, don't worry. Yeah, we're just wanting you back, Brian. You are
It's
coming.
broken up.
You are coming back, aren't you, Brian? Okay.
Silly.
The weather's too nice, uh-oh.
When you coming back?
So I won't be back until the 4th of October.
Okay, all right.
So you don't still have plenty.
We can.
So,
Yeah, we just.
so what needs to be done for the GPS?
Well, I'm just thinking that it makes sense to go up and talk to the road crew about it and have if you haven't seen it, we got a great email from the state about, their crew's concerns about it initially and how now people are really comfortable with it. They like it. It's their real advantage. But I think instead of, you don't want to spring, we're having a, and I don't know how long it'll take Verizon to set up a demo, but have you talk with them first, just so that they know that when the demo comes up, be part of the whole.
Yeah, when would that demo be? Nobody knows.
Well, we haven't set it up yet, so that's why we want to know when you're going to be back, so you can talk to the road crew, and then we can set it up.
Okay.
We're making a list of things for you to do.
Should I thank you?
Next time you'll be here.
Can I ask?
Yes.
So, because I couldn't really hear Dave and Rolly really very well when they were talking. So what started this GPS conversation? I'm just wondering what our little town would even need it for. Seems like kind of a waste of money to me, but I guess the demo's okay to see, but
Yeah.
what started this conversation?
We've been talking about putting GPS in the trucks for a couple of years now. And for a variety of, and again, as you see the memo from the state, it's, where the trucks are, when the work is done, again,
Safety,
people,
accidents.
yeah, it helps when there have been accidents, when people say, nobody sanded my road for 3 hours and I went off the road, and you look at the GPS, well, actually it got sanded an hour and a half ago, so maybe you went off the road because you were driving too fast.
So who tracks this? Who's going to sit and watch this GPS and check all that? We don't have a road commissioner. Is this coming back to the road commissioner stuff? I mean, seems like a micromanage thing to me. I don't know. I think it's a foolish idea. That's my opinion.
To answer your question, Chastity, the GPS can be stored and then you can go back in and access it at any time. When I ran the GPS for the Department of Corrections, basically it's the same thing. It just gives you a tracking. It usually can tell you how fast you're driving. It can tell you exactly where you stopped, how long you were stopped, that sort of thing, just to give you information on what its possibilities are. Basically, that's what it is. It's but if, like you're saying, if somebody says the road hasn't been sanded, you can go back in and tell them exactly what time it was sanded and when they went by your door.
Or somebody says this road ain't been graded for 3 weeks.
Yeah, well, and you also, again, the purpose of the demo is it gives you some good ideas about what you can and what you can't do with it and how other communities are using it. And as I say, this has been something we've talked about on and off for at least 2 years.
Okay. I understand having a GPS for the Department of Corrections. You're dealing with criminals, but when you're dealing with our town employees in a town our size, don't you pretty much know where the guys, I mean, they're on the radio all the time. I don't know. But yeah, I'll see the demo, but I don't
Yeah, but if
see why we
somebody,
would need something like that.
you know, a lot of times when
It's
folks.
fine, it's fine. You can explain it. That's fine. I'll see the demo.
We'll
yeah,
see it.
that's
Yeah,
fine.
We'll do a demonstration and see where we go from there. Okay,
Sometime after the 4th.
yeah, that's a bit right, we'll get it back. The water salt, the water salt, phew, I don't even want to say the word, the winter
Winter.
salt.
Winner.
Yeah.
So
I
it's a
know.
winner. Say it.
Water.
Florida.
Yeah, Florida, North Carolina. We're coming down to enjoy it, Brian.
That ain't going back to just 79 cents a ton.
Surprised after the last few years.
Yeah.
So that's good. I mean, the state contracts are higher, so we figured stick with these guys, the other state contract.
Yeah.
And they were a trial last year. We usually.
That is what
Tumbleweed.
So what are we doing? We taking a vote on that?
Yes, please.
Yeah, need a motion?
I'll make a motion that.
So moved.
Compass, second it.
Okay, Brian moves and Dave seconds. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Right?
Anybody opposed?
Pretty early too, we did that.
Yeah, what am I voting on?
The salt budget. You want
Okay, that's
something
what I thought. I thought so. Sorry, there's wicked background noise when Brian turns his phone on, so I want to make sure I was hearing the right thing. Okay, yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Summer paving.
Now, did Pike know that we're going to deduct 21,000? 170?
Yeah, I have a change order from Pike and I have an up from Monash.
But Pike does know that deduction.
Oh, yeah. Well, they gave me the change order based on their quote. So their original contract had that was a line item in their quote.
So to me, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, so we sort of booted them from part of the job that they had. And they give us $1 for $1. Sometimes they don't do that. Sometimes they'll say, yeah, we had something rolled in there. We're gonna give you 15, even though we bid 21. And then
Nick did more work, which knocked off that. What was the total? Knocked off at $21,000 that Pike would have done, but Pike didn't do it because Nick done it, so you're switching money.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I started at 5:00.
Okay.
Thank you.
So that's
You
one.
understand that, Brian, too, and Chaz?
Say again.
Did you
They're
understand
just switching the
that?
money.
That Dave and I didn't understand it about the Monash and Pike.
Yeah, they're just switching the money around.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to accept that.
second.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
In here, Chastity.
She just texted me and she said she has to sign off at 8. If we need to vote, text her. We're good.
Okay. Well,
New road name?
We had a specific on that was a deduction order with
Right.
another motion on Monash.
Okay, well,
Oh, a little more complicated than one by one. So
I'll make a motion, we up. 21,000.
and then he had an add-on of rear yards. 3 parts to Menage. They upgraded the machine to a sheet split.
Yeah.
To get a smaller grind on the asphalt. Plus, there was additional added that Pike didn't do, the Cleveland Corners legs.
Yeah.
So that's an add up of 5 or 10,000, I forget, there's a swap there. And then there's another piece, but it all added up into that 21,000, which looks like a swap, but it was really some tweaking because Menage was so much lower, if you remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Menage was lower, but he actually upgraded the material that's gonna come out of the reclaim, if you get what I mean. So it's, in the end, it's pretty net close, but it's not a 1-for-1 of,
I got you.
its methods and means change with Menage. So his $45,000 quote is now increased to not only do the Pike stuff, but also to increase the grind, the method of the reclaim.
So
So, thank you.
Right.
Yes, it was a little,
I don't think you can, Roy,
what?
being an employee in Menage.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I keep forgetting that he works for us. Right, so you.
So that's why. So I'll make it.
Okay.
oh, stain.
Okay, yeah, okay. All right, I'll go ahead and second it. So that'd be the so all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
okay, and we'll have an extension for Rowley, right?
Right, 0-1, right?
Okay, do we have
Thank
three
you, Dave.
pieces, or do we have one more?
No, it's good.
All good?
I'd have the summary.
Okay,
Uh,
okay, how about a new road name?
Is this up the Lattices? Yep. Where that mobile home they fixed up sets?
That's the grandson there.
Over across Meadows.
well, they're happy with it. They live there.
I was gonna say, that's actually their name.
Fine, it is,
Yeah, over across.
Now the motion?
That's a motion.
Then I'll second.
OEM. Okay,
They're the ones that live there.
that's right, that's what they wanna call it. All in favor of the road name?
Aye.
Okay. Let me go back to ARPA and shall we try to deal with this tonight, or shall we wait until we do a pull together and talking about the one that we, suppose we miss a day? We get Brian and we miss Dave. Or to go ahead with these, I don't, I think I'd rather have it sort of do it as a spreadsheet and talk about the money as a whole. And we'll do something in early October to just talk generally about the budgeting and the different funds and how this all ties into it and the questions that we have.
You mean, yes?
Able to have, no, I'm on the AAR.
Oh,
I'm trying to figure out the ARPA stuff, okay?
okay.
So that we can sit down with spreadsheets and look at it and say, here's what we have and here are the requests and here are their general guidelines for how you spend the money, because anybody, as soon as you got money, people have plenty of ideas as how to spend it. So I think maybe Ron will put that off, and before we get out of here, we'll schedule another meeting for dealing with that and finances and, just where money is and everything else.
So that
Have a-
builds for the
Have
intent.
a good idea for the,
Yeah, it's on the clip, isn't it?
gotcha, okay. Now the excavator.
Brian, you are.
So, as far as the excavator, I think the best best option we have for, the best one if we're gonna buy new would be the Volvo, because it performed better and than the one what's the one that Pete's has? But anyways, yeah, Hyundai, it performed better than the Hyundai. And then price wise, of course. And then service, I've heard nothing but good stuff about the Volvo service. So that would be my recommendation. Now, I did get an email from Nick Minaj. He has the exact same thing as what we're looking to purchase, and he wanted to sell us his. But I don't know if that just throws a monkey wrench in everything or not.
It does throw a monkey wrench in a lot of things, but I tell you what, I think it'd be worth taking that monkey wrench and throwing it around a little bit for what you told me. Because, you know, the price differs, and it's 2 years old. They've only used it here in Hyde Park 2 summers. Right?
Yeah,
How many hours?
I think I wanted to say 1,400. I'm trying to remember what it was. I'm not exactly sure, but I thought it was on 1,400 hours.
You know, I think we ought to think about that. Really do. What do you
Just
think?
take,
You have any idea what he's asking?
have any idea what?
How much is he asking for it?
I think it was 140. If
What
I remember
was-
right.
What was the new one?
About 200.
No, that's what the trailer.
170.
Plus the
178?
trailer is
170.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get a trailer.
170, so you're talking $30,000 difference.
What I was kind of thinking, if the board chose to go with Minaj, purchasing that one, we'd save enough money to purchase the trailer.
And I still think, being 2 years old, there's a extended warranty you could buy, the town could buy for that, right?
I believe there is.
I know there should be one more year right up front. And then there's probably another few, $6,000 more you could buy that extended warranty. You have such a date to do that.
Have you got the spec sheet on Menashe's so we can compare them?
It should be identical to the other one.
Same thing.
You sure?
That's the one he went up and tried out. It was up
Yeah.
on-
Is Mark on?
Zero turn. Zero turn.
No,
Mark isn't on, okay.
no, he had something, he had.
He-
some-
He
yeah.
did text me and recommends Volvo.
He did.
Yep.
I certainly check it out.
Like I said, I think the savings on it, and if we can get the warranty, then we'll be at the same figure if we bought a brand new one, when we get a trailer in addition.
I don't see on this proposal, Brian, anything for the rubber pads. I know you don't run that goddamn heavy thing on blacktop.
That'll do. They've been running that big cat.
Hey, dimension.
Yeah, yeah.
You put that on there.
I put my foot through the big enough.
I was gonna say, you put that on pitch hill right now, you're gonna go right.
You're probably gonna do that. I gotta
Yeah.
meet somebody.
You know, you're talking about one that smaller sheet. You're fine. You can get the rubber bands, but it's at the waist. You look at anybody that runs the streets, even right in the village, Marshall.
But when we started this and I was arguing against the size and stuff, Mark French says that he's gonna put in the rubber pads on it.
Fine, do it.
But I won't see it, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but that's when we can look at it and see what it costs. I mean, if the, you know,
Then this code is not the code.
it's, that can't be, this has gotta be the new one, right?
Right.
Gotcha, okay, all right. Okay.
If you're gonna go to use, we have apples to apples to do, let's see what the real price is.
That's what I'm saying.
Right,
I thought, that's okay. We can-
right,
First time I've heard about it, so time to look at it.
right.
You want to try to force this with a decision in October?
Well, I think, yeah.
Because
I think we ought to see if we decide in October to get the information. Because one of the things,
Why don't you go see Nick tomorrow
Working.
in the afternoon? I can't do it.
well, because, I mean, in private, I mean, we don't have to make a decision. What I like to do is sort of in the ballpark of what we're spending, to let Ally begin to start figuring out where we borrow the money.
Right. Anything without your views. Just
Would it be wrong?
It's because I'd like to say
Would
something.
it be wrong if
I
I
know. Okay, hold on a second.
if he's
Right.
serious about selling?
Roland's talking. Hold on.
Yeah, no, I think it would be fine for Rowley to ask Nick tomorrow if he's serious about selling, first of all, right?
I wanted to say something.
Right, okay, and then if he is fine, if he's not serious about it, then it's still left with, well, it looks like if to get Ally beginning the process of here's the money, here's the up to, we want to borrow this amount of money. So in October, at the October meeting, we can do a final vote, the money will be ready to go and we stop. And we just.
I think a lot of footwork to go in between that point is number one, is the interest in selling, yes or no? If it's no, it's done. If it's yes, then we gotta ask Nick for his sheet of his file and compare it to new one, see if it's apple to apple.
That's right. but
Then we
that-
gotta go hold of Volvo and see
Right.
what the extended warranty is on it.
Right, exactly. But there's no reason not to start lining up the money, because we know we're gonna have to borrow even with that, in the $175,000 or so. And that's a whole, instead of saying, okay, we're gonna do it, and then Ally has to spend another month doing it. One way or the other, we're gonna have to borrow money to do this.
There's too many questions that come.
Brian, shake your head, yes or no.
Now we'll let him Brian talk, right?
Now, is there cleanup bucket and everything with this one?
Yes, cleanup bucket, there's a ditching bucket and the regular bucket for it. I don't even know, you had a compactor that was on that, but I don't think we're gonna get that.
I think that was rented. I think he rented.
Yeah, yeah. But it would, all it would be is just an email to them to get the apples to apples on it, make sure we're getting what we want and what we spec'd out first of all, just to make sure everybody's on the same page.
Well, if it's the same thing and for 2 years older, and you say taxpayers that much money, it's not a bad deal.
So Ron, if you could cut out that section of the matrix sheet and then just send it to Nick, asking that we're interested and see if it matches up to what's on there. And then he can just explain yes or no if it does.
Okay.
So, and Rolly, you're gonna ask him tomorrow if he's serious?
I'll ask him
Yeah.
if he's still serious.
Then call me if he is.
Yeah,
And I'll make sure that what Dave said.
Send the spreadsheet.
right, but we might as well find out if he's serious first.
If not, the backup plan would be new 21 Volvo. Or I'm just trying to figure out if we're ready.
Yeah, so I'm just getting ready to go.
If it can be ready in October or not. I don't, like I said, like what Susan said, we don't need to get loan documents if we're gonna be in decision mode still of used or new or compare and used.
Yeah, but I think we should be able to figure out I think we'll know pretty fast whether Nick's serious or not. If he is, then putting the sides by shouldn't be that difficult. And if he's not.
You know, if you get that Nick, you're only gonna get it to her new ball, might be a year and a half. But
True.
Right.
We don't know that yet.
Right, haven't gotten that far, but.
That's 170 might not be valid anymore. That's a lot. May have to rebid it.
With Nick, I think he's very sincere about wanting to save the town some money. That's what my impression was with him. And I think that's where the offer came from I never even inquired with him. I just asked him if I could to operate it. And he said, sure, go ahead, without any hesitation. And I went up there and his, trying to think of his name, Hunter, I think it was, his operator, he was more than happy to have me jump in, and he stopped what he was doing and let me operate that thing, and offered suggestions and answered any questions I had on it. And like I said, I think his intent was to help all of us save money. So.
Okay, so my question to Nick would be, why is Nick selling?
Say that again, Susan, sorry.
Curious as to why Nick is selling. Does he find it's not worth it? He doesn't need it. It's easier for him to, I'm just curious.
Well, again, I think it's just coming from his nature. I think he's just trying to help the town save some money. That's what I gathered. I thought the same thing, Susan. I thought, why was he wanting to sell it? But the thing runs right. He's using it every day.
No, I'm not questioning that, but is he replacing it with something new, or is he just deciding it's a piece of equipment it isn't worth him carrying it? He's just not using it that much. That's all. I'm just, yeah.
Yeah, I don't have the answer. I don't have the answer for that.
Yeah. Okay. All right, well, we'll see what happens. Check with him, and if he's.
check the other side.
We'll go from there. Okay.
Tabled.
Or continued.
To be.
Continued. And like B-roll, continued. Some things just go on for eternity. Okay, under our other business.
We do the E&O $1,700 deduct for the Lampier property and budget drive. That was added to your.
Oh, yeah.
Just need some
Okay.
signatures on that.
Okay. Oh, no, that was the other meeting I put. Okay. Oh, God. I can't read it. Oh, no, I just changed the grand list. Sorry, September is zipping through here. Brian, we're just forging your signature to something.
Penny does it all the time.
What the hell, man?
Okay, what else? All right.
A motion and second vote.
Oh. there we
On
go.
this?
Yeah,
Mo down, make a motion.
accept it. The change. All in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Anybody opposed? Okay. Okay, Now do we get the North Hyde Park pilot study?
That is still planned for the 25th, which is this coming Saturday, but recent weather forecasts are not favorable because part of the V-Trans requirements are that crosswalks are painted with removable paint, which will wash off in decent rain. So it's day by day. It's still planned for this weekend, but if it rains and doesn't get dry, it'll be rescheduled. Town Highway is helping with some temporary signage that has to go in at the 2 crosswalks. And I think that'll be Wednesday or Thursday this week unless somebody pulls the plug.
Right, okay.
We have a 1111 permit from the state of Vermont. All of this work is done under MPG 20 with the guy in Valley Hall Committee.
Yeah, okay. Well, it'll rain or it won't, right?
Well, one to one or the other.
Yeah. You almost always count on it. The municipal planning grant?
It's just an update that in October, we'll need your resolutions for approval to apply for a planning grant, to have a sort of a branding or sign design done for North Hyde Park entryways, located along probably Ferry Street and Route 100, possibly 100C, that would be designed and bid package ready. And then at some point when there's funding for the signs, have those put in. So that fund, the installation is a second deal. The first deal is getting the design and figure out how people want to represent North Hyde Park. So that is being worked on by the planning commission, the guy in Valley Hall Committee. But it'll be back on your agenda in October. If you have any other planning grant ideas, this would be one of the alternate project to that. But we don't have any other ideas right now.
Right, okay.
And then next one is you, budget season starts.
Okay, budget season. Again, we talked about sort of getting ready for budget season. Doing an extra meeting where Ron and Ally and are sort of hear all the different, there are all these little pots of money, I mean, we're still waiting for the FEMA money to come in from, it'll be 3 turned over select boards before the money finally gets in. Which on the total aside, maybe these poor people, and it's their houses and stuff, and they're still waiting. It's 3 years later, it's still not, it's like, oh my God. Anyway, but to be able to talk about that and the ARPA money and some sort of, again, I had Ron put on the list. I think here are things that make fit very well into what the ARPA money can be used for, and to go ahead and get those plannings and estimates started. And again, I think once we start doing some of that, other people will have ideas, but it'd be helpful for us, I think, to all sit down together and have a conversation and have a better understanding of what the guidelines are on the money. And I know, people, you keep hearing news stories, and so I think people are thinking like Hyde Park must be getting at least $2 million or something, so. We aren't. That's not what we're getting. But again, I think it'll just help. And then when we're out and about and people ask us questions, to say, here are the general guidelines as to what we're trying to, we're trying to use the money for. Yeah.
I'm getting used to the noise.
When's the meeting gonna be, or have you decided yet?
We haven't scheduled it yet. That's what I'm asking people to look at right now. And we're getting you back, and Dave's gonna be out shooting 4 innocent creatures in October, right?
Okay.
Hopefully with 4 legs.
So there's at least 2 resources if you want to get more into it. So VLCT has hired a couple staff people to meet with select boards.
Okay.
Some towns have done that already. If you've seen any noise in newspapers, they've actually had VLCT come and present everything fresh to everybody at the same time, so you're not getting piecemeal on it. Mr. Ripley earlier today, he has some resources to do the same thing with the ARPA money, because these
Yeah.
agencies are trying to help towns. Or you can do what we've been doing, which was get the list, start to look at the guidelines, walk through that, and that's the other option. So if you wanted to set up somebody from outside to come in and just kind of give a broad brush review for the community, because we televise it, or just kind of read up on the guidelines your own and try to make those decisions. I don't have a preference, but I think having everybody sort of at the same starting point is beneficial, rather than have everybody at different places in their understanding of the guidelines.
So Brian, when you're back, what are your better times to meet? And most of the days, I think we do, late afternoon, early evenings.
Yeah, late afternoons, usually Mondays are good. Mondays or Tuesdays.
Rolly, how about you?
Monday or Tuesday, no matter, as long as it's after 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock,
Yeah, okay.
5:30, 6 o'clock. Any night works for me, except Sunday.
Maybe the Tuesday, the 12th?
DRB at 6.
Oh, DRB at 6, okay?
Brian's back on the 4th.
Yeah, I'm on the 4th, I'll be back.
Be a Wednesday night, 6.
Could you?
We can do Wednesday. We can do Wednesday night.
Okay, did that work?
You'll be all right then, too.
Wednesday night, as well.
On the
If
6th?
it's raining or if we have a south wind, I'll be here. Other than that, I won't.
When's this start?
First.
Oh, you'll shut everything by then.
Yeah, so I'm putting it down because it could be off to the farm.
Okay, let's try, all right, so this October the 6th.
You said 6? Oh. What, the 6th?
He said the 6th.
Yours is back to.
So you said the 6th at 6?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's where we are right now, right?
Yeah, they extended it on both ends. That's probably being 100%, is it? What do you call it stuff?
No, well, it depends on your reception, so he's right.
He's out there, the desert.
Yeah.
See that cat that just blew by?
Camel.
Okay, all right, that way
All about the
we'll
cable.
double check to make sure Chastity can do that, that's useful. And let's see if, yeah, let's have somebody else come in.
I could actually, Mr. Ripley.
Yeah,
ask him if he can do it.
That'd be a good way to get that.
Go with it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'll ask.
Yeah, okay, let's have him come in and join us. Okay. Then we just get to do orders.
Oh, boy.
Orders and
Minutes.
Minute, right, there we go, here's a good one. You guys get the little ones. Susan, sure, take care of something. She can give me a pink note.
Doing colors.
Okay. Ooh, woohoo.
So everybody all set with me?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, now we're just
Okay.
signing more. So,
Okay, have a good evening, all.
yeah, thanks for joining us. Have a safe trip home.
Yeah, have a safe trip back, Brian.
Good night.
Thank you. Take care.
Watch the gas stations.
What's that?
Watch the filling stations. The fuel stations.
How much is gas out there? Lost.
Fuel. Where's fuel?
Yeah, it's hard to do chat.
Well, my, Bill's sister, Susan, is up here from Baton Rouge. And she said, of course, with these hurricanes, she said their price of gas is going.
Oh, man.
Yeah, sky high.
You wait,
Good
wait
thing
till they
we-
start rebuilding. You watch what happens here.
I'll tell you what, it's a good thing we locked into that 6 cents per bunker, I'd say. Oh, dear.
While you're doing that, I can talk about Prospect Street for a second. Roland's personal project. Prospect paving.
So a second, we already talked about it.
No, I just want to give you some numbers, because I went up there today to look, and I was concerned that there was,
Not Prospect or Fitch?
oh, sorry.
See, I was gonna say, right,
Okay.
okay.
Prospect Paving. The Fitch Hill paving resulted in a concern that some of the driveways were needing additional work. So part of that's true because the second layer of paving needs to go on. And then some of those that are sort of on a lift right now, you give a 3-inch lift or something on them. Hopefully that and less will be resolved by the second layer. And then there's a handful that are more than 3 inches, up to 6 inches, 7 inches.
Oh, yeah, I went up there, Parker Hodgson's driveway. I'll bet you that's 8 inches right now. At least 8 inches.
Yeah, so there's
You have to
Leap into that, right.
You gotta jump to get to the
So
road.
there's 2 roads. There's Hillside at the beginning
Yeah.
on the left, and then there's Fitch Hill up to the reservoir. There's 27 driveway aprons that they dealt with as they're doing that. Yeah, I was like, maybe 12.
Yeah.
But some people have 3, some people have 2, whatever. Don't know why. I mean, I don't know why all these folks that have driveway like this needed 2 driveways. But
Did you go over and look at Pat's?
No,
So of the 27, 16 look like, to me, that they would be resolved with the second layer. They're either at grade or a little down or whatever, and the second layer that goes on will make them really good transition. Then there's about 11 that I put into this category of 3 inches to 6 inches plus, where there's going to be, as higher you get, the more you end up trying to go out into the yard and try to get towards the house, basically, to cut that, because the center of that road is going to be fixed. You can't feather that. It's going to have 4 inches of pavement on it. There's nothing you can do about that.
Right.
So it only leaves you the apron headed into the driveway. So the amount of work that you need to do to fix those 11 is going to be variable. Some of it's going to have to do with the skill of the paving company, because they are required by the contract to do an apron. They're probably not used to doing an apron for an 8-inch drop or 6-inch drop. Okay.
my question is,
So those are the ones including Hodgson at the top that
right,
we need to figure out what actually will happen after the top layer goes on.
Shelley and I took a 2x4. We went out to that road day.
Yeah.
I had 4-foot level. And I
where
put
are
it
you?
flat onto the,
Your house or
Yeah.
Hodgson's?
my house.
Okay.
I put it flat on there and I put the level on there.
Yeah.
Level off. On this side of the 4-foot, the 2x4 was 5 inches.
Well, Hodgson's gonna be more than that.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying I did mine, I didn't go to his.
But what I'm saying, what I'm thinking is, if they're gonna do the apron on a 2-inch one, they can do an apron from me to Sue. But on Hodgson's, they're gonna have to go from here to that wall.
Oh, yeah, easy.
Are they gonna pave the driveway?
I have to,
There's,
got to straighten it out.
there's no requirement that we pave driveways as part of a road project. There's an equal responsibility for the homeowner under state law.
But see, I don't know if
So
that,
then that's the law, but then you have the politics. So the question of how are we actually going to deal with each of those 11 is what I need to talk to Mark and Hutchins about. Exactly how are those going to be done?
because his will probably be mostly blacktop when you get that. I mean, not right now, so it's that big.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
That right there. And if you do this on his, if you do this on his, you're gonna have water puddle in there.
Well, yeah. Well, this is not being a road person, but it would seem to me as anybody that if you have, they come through and they do a bunch of work, that they don't leave you with a cliff.
That's right.
That's all. I mean, I don't think that's an unreasonable expectation when
It's not
a
the
variety of work gets done. Yeah, that it's not, again, legally, you may turn around and say, well, it's your responsibility and I'm going to have a variety of words to say to you, none of which should be recorded.
Because that was me, it wouldn't be ditch, but the road would have a little dump in it. But what I can't understand is how did they put that road in, or any road, without any benchmarks? Somebody had to shoot that road to know what the level was on. Because
Nobody did,
because even a kidney garden person knows if you put 4 inches on top of what you got, it's gonna be 4 inches higher.
Just out here. Yeah.
But somebody had to shoot a benchmark to know where that road was, where the center of that road
But
was.
wouldn't, anybody doing basic road work and pave, don't the pavers usually do that? I mean,
No,
they do it.
No, but that weren't the pavers.
Okay,
That weren't the pavers.
The ones that set the grade on that road is the town, because the town's the one that graded it.
Yeah, the
Okay,
town did the-
that is the town's responsibility. They put the final grade for the blacktop.
I got
My wife, when I come home from work that night, Shelley was out there, and she was looking at it. And she said, they're gonna pave this tomorrow? And I said, no, they're not gonna pave this tomorrow. She said, I didn't think so. But she said, this is way too high. This is way too high. I said, well, don't worry about it, because it's not paving tomorrow.
They paved.
I said, "Oh, son of a-"
But you,
I come home and then it was paved. I couldn't believe it.
but you take the state up here, that's doing it right now. They're not even no
No.
4 sections. Don't.
no.
I mean, that road up through there, Susan, should have been taken down at least. I'm just guessing what I see. That road should have been taken down at least 7 to 8 inches of material out of there. You have to take material out on a road like that. You can't leave that material in there. You want to see something, you go over and look at Pat's. That road over through there should have probably had 10 loads or 8 loads of gravel taken out of there. And the guy up on top, Hutchinson,
Yeah.
I went up and talked to him because I see his dooryard. I went up and talked to him and he says, I couldn't understand why they were putting gravel in there. I said, they didn't put no gravel in here, did they? He said they were putting gravel right in, down through by my dooryard, right down through the side of the house.
And two things, you take Hodgson's right there, that's got that 8-inch drop.
Oh, yeah.
And the next driveway up on the right, like Ron says, is level. How in the hell can that be?
It's in the grade. You've got to take that material out. When I did Maple Street, when I did over by the police station, when I did Stafford Avenue, when I did this, I had 2 guys on the street line.
Well, it makes sense, you take it out, if you want to add to it.
I had 2 guys on the street line. I had one on one side, one on the other. We were going off our benchmarks. Because we had benchmarks on there remember when, can you imagine leaving lit over by Susan Newlands like that?
Now, let me add to the pot here. We didn't do a benchmark on the center road that we're gonna pave within the month.
There, you're gonna run into the same problem.
And they ground that stuff, but then they're gonna put 4 inches on it. And they graded it. Are we gonna have the same trouble on the center road?
Oh, yeah.
Well, it depends if you think it's trouble. So
I think it's trouble when somebody's got to jump a thing like this.
I don't know, but you're not done with the project yet. You only, on Fitch Hill, you only have a base course. So we knew years ago, because Hutchinson had a problem, that almost all the driveways on the east side, all of them actually, I think, are good grading. There's no
I'm on the east side.
you don't have a problem. I looked at it today. You have no problem.
I don't have a
The
problem.
second layer is going to solve all your concerns.
Rob, it's gonna be dropping. It's gonna be dropping in that dooryard. It's not gonna come out level.
We're not going for level. Part of
It's
the,
always been level.
no, I know, but I'm trying to give you, the board, the perspective of where Mark was coming from with getting the roads up basically. You leave the gravel material in the base and you raise the road. You're not in a city street with structures, which is what Roland's talking about. You always set a level if you're dealing with structures. If you have no structures in the road to worry about, and then the goal was to get that road up high enough so it had a crown and it shed water to each property, that's what you get. And you have a problem on the west side because those driveways are already a little bit lower, now they're worse. So we knew that going in there. The bid spec and the contract said, grind it, leave it, we're going up. So now what's gonna happen with Roland's driveway in particular, he's not gonna have a smooth entrance straight across into his dooryard. He's gonna have a slightly elevated town road that will shed water to the foot of his driveway, which is our standard, and it's gonna hit the culvert, which goes under his driveway. It's not there is no spec that we have in town that the select board adopted that says flat road to flat driveway. That is not part of the design. The road is always above the driveway. So, and that's how it was bid. That's how it was bid, and that's how the contract came out. So if you're saying to me that we're gonna have a contract that says dig up Center Road, take off 7 or 8 inches so that we can get all the driveways the way they were, that is a total different project that we had that is not in the bid for that. We're leaving all that material in there. Select board said reclaim it, leave it, compact it. You're gonna have an elevation increase because of your decision, not because of the contract.
It's our fault. It's our fault.
That's what was in the contract though. What are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do with the contract? You
Well, I
couldn't.
can tell you that, I'm gonna open up that box like Dave said one day. And I don't want them people up on Center Road going through what I'm going through right now. So I think
You're not going through anything. You don't have a finished job yet. I looked at it. I was walking on it today. I took a picture from hillside looking at your garage door. I saw the center of the road and I saw a high rise by your mailbox or your telephone pole. And you have a depression there that can get that water into those culverts. So I don't see, so all those driveways on the right side are like yours. They're all relatively flat or a little bit above.
the next door neighbors ain't got a lip at all. And I don't know if you walked up through there, but I did Saturday. And I took a shovel with me and you look at the blacktop that's up through there. Some places you only got an inch blacktop. I dug underneath the blacktop with a shovel to see. There's only that much blacktop on some of that stuff up through there. On patch sides, the same thing.
How much is there supposed to be?
That's the base course. So you're gonna have a variable base course if the grading wasn't done perfect.
Okay, so I got a question, just because I don't understand it.
Yeah.
Is, I've been up to Parker's a lot and using fishing game club and stuff, and his driveway never had jumped down into it.
No.
It was basically level, but everyone on those roads was
Yeah.
basically level. How come some of them are half level, some are 2 inches high, and some are 8 inches high?
Well, part of it, tell you the truth, from watching how people build driveways around here, not until the last bunch of years when we started getting on new construction, did anybody pay attention to that interface between the town highway and the driveway. You would have houses like. on
Yeah, but
East
that
Road.
don't answer the question of why that is now.
Yeah, what is it, is it just?
His driveway, he's told me, ever since he's lived there, there's been ponding in his driveway and it's our problem. And it goes into his house. We
It's
haven't,
gonna-
we haven't worked on his driveway. That house was built below the road, or at least level of the road. A lot of roads have risen up quite a bit. So if you actually took out 7 or 8 inches from Fitch Hill, his driveway would be better, but all the houses on the east side would have a problem because they'd be going straight up. So you're at a happy, from a happy medium, all the houses on the east are gonna be just fine. If you wanna lower the road and split the difference, then you have everybody off by a few
I
inches.
see what you're saying, yeah. Boy, I can't.
So I don't know what the answer is to the worst cases. I just know that when that second layer goes on, majority of people are gonna be happy. And then there's gonna be 10 or so that we're gonna have to pay special attention to because we don't wanna create problems for them.
Because you're gonna be another inch and a half on top of what you got. So what's that do?
No kidding. That's why I'm not saying there's no problem. I'm saying those 11 properties that we have to focus on before we add some more potential problems to that. Because we'll be totally responsible for property damage if we change the elevation, send water somewhere where it didn't go before.
I guess the answer is how far is the apron going to go back?
Or the treatment of it, yeah, do you tip it a little bit to send it into the ditch? Do you create a little ravine? Do you go all the way to the driveway? Those are questions,
Because those hills are up on top, they won't meet the 8% level.
When Pat goes in his door area, he's gonna have 8 inches of water up there because you
It's
need
like
like
this. That's the.
No, we've got, now that we have a list, right? I have a list.
Did you go over and see Pat's today?
Everybody's, yeah. Actually,
Pat, the one up above ain't gonna be a problem. The one above Pat's ain't gonna be a problem.
No.
Because that's dirt.
oh yeah, sure, paving it.
So he can,
Pat's got 2 driveways. Both of them are, that's 3 to 6 inch problem where it's gonna be a problem that we have to resolve. And he's part of the 11 that I saw that was a
I don't
problem.
know what, I don't know how to fix that one. I don't know how to fix that.
Well, I don't know either. That's why I'm just letting the board know that we have some issues up there that need some attention.
But I
I'm
think
not
somebody
sure
should.
what the attention is.
I don't know what the attention is yet until I talk to Mark and the contractor. We're not gonna do anything to the pavement. We're not gonna apply less than 2 inches because that's in the contract. And then we're gonna have to deal with these aprons.
Well, I went up to that hills Saturday. When I got done. And I dug on the end of that blacktop. If you want to see it, I'll show you. Because the holes are still there. And on the edge of the blacktop, there's only that much blacktop.
Well, if it is, that's a contractor's fault. I mean, the paver's fault.
That's right.
Yeah,
And there might be 3 inches somewhere else.
And that should be up to Mark to go up and measure that and
Yeah.
come up and say why.
Well, let's go full circle. So way back in the beginning of this season, construction season, I think we had a discussion about what level of inspection does the town of Hyde Park want to do for these hundreds of thousands of dollars of projects that you're doing.
Right.
And we never came to a conclusion. We tried Dick Rogan and that was less than an engineer. So should we have somebody there more often with sort of compaction tests, depth tests, there's certain things that people do.
boy, it's your turn to sound because now I'm going, so what's gonna happen on the center road?
Yeah.
No, it's
Well,
true.
that's what I was
You've got to take material out there. You've got to take material out. I've done it.
I'll tell you the two that's going to be the worst, Ron, is from the 4 corners, the next 2 or 3 on the left.
Yeah, they drop off.
They already drop off like this.
Yeah, they do.
And if you do your benchmark, and the best place to do benchmarks, when I did them, was on telephone poles. You go up there and take a shot before you tear the pavement up. Put your benchmarks somewhere where they're not gonna be,
Right.
and then, all the way up through there.
I don't disagree with you down the village, or we're gonna have some structures to deal with. and all
Right,
that
up
other
there
stuff.
you can get rid of the
Right,
material.
so you have that give and take about how much effort do you put in, what the spec says. And if we're not thinking about it well enough during the development of the scope of work, that's all too late when Pike might be here in a couple of days to come up with a remove 8 inches. We cannot physically do that. So that center road is gonna be lifted and we're gonna have the same thing, maybe on half, maybe on a quarter of the driveways up there. But that's something we can solve and make it work. It's probably cheaper than having 6 or 7 or 8 inches removed from the whole 3.2 miles.
But, take that material off that road, you put it right on a close dirt road. That's good material. You gravel a dirt road that needs to be
I know,
gravel.
but there's a time and effort thing that we have to deal with too. Because we have to be ready on Thursday this week or Friday. I can't change.
For the center road?
Huh?
For the center road?
They said end of this week is earliest they might be getting for center. road.
The,
They won't
I
commit
think
to it.
worse scenario is how many feet the town is gonna be responsible to putting in the apron, so we don't have that steep jump.
Well, legally or politically.
Politically.
Yeah.
So the politics of it is,
Yeah.
and this is just would a normal person feel like this was not reasonable?
Exactly.
That's kind of your standard.
Yeah. And a normal
Everybody
person
can
would
check
not
it.
feel it was
Yeah,
reasonable.
the landowner shouldn't be spinning their wheels to get up on the main road.
I know, practically gonna take them off road. That's how.
He told me that he knows his driveway needs to be repaved because he has wheel ruts going into his garage.
Tell him, hold on, because it may be paid for.
Yeah. It's like, wait. So,
There'll be 11 stories on Fitch Hill.
right.
I can tell you that right
But it seems, since we now know that we have the issue, wouldn't it make sense to let the folks on Fitch Hill know that A, we know there's a situation, and we don't know what the heck the answer is
Yeah.
yet, but we are going to address it. So some way to let them know. I don't know what if you. I don't
No,
know.
I got their 911 addresses, I know.
Okay.
who they
And
are.
Okay.
maybe people on Center Road.
Well, I need to talk to Mark and Hutchinson first.
Right, right.
And then whatever the framework of a resolution is, I can let landowners.
But you know, if you go up there on the center, and I had this discussion with somebody that's probably gonna hear it, but I don't care. Not too long ago, I told the guy that they want these roads flat when they pave. You go up there with a grader from one end to the other and you grade them back and forth, you will see to get that down. That road to center. You've got to bowl that bowl back and forth on each side of the road and make it flat. There's a guy that works for Gorman. He's done this all his life and he's an excellent, excellent grader. He's an excellent painter. He still does it for Gorman. Nick Minaj and I discussed this, and Nick likes crown. And Willie, he was talking to Willie, he said just a week ago after he talked to me, because I worked with Willie on the Stagecoach Road over there. And I was told the same thing, and Willie says, you do this road flat and you will be able to get rid of a lot of material. Because if you don't, because we ground that whole thing from the corner store to the stone line, we ground all that. We never had a problem with any blacktop barriers.
Well, I
And
can't,
it was flat.
I mean, I can't argue with Rolly. He's done it for 30 years. We ought to take some of his knowledge and put it to good use.
Well, it's a guy that Dave was older than I was that did it with me. Because I was gonna do the crown. You don't need a crown.
Your spec is a 2% crown and 1.5 to 2% acceptable. So if you want to start changing your road policies, go for it. I mean, it's 35 pages long and we use those in our bid spec.
Right.
So we're not making stuff up. You're advising things from your personal experience that have nothing to do with the town policy.
Well, I can tell you, I think that ought to be changed.
Well,
What it-
Roland, you're on the select board. You have the chance to take the 2019 road policy, look through it and tell us what needs to change, because all Mark and I are doing is following the policy.
Right.
And the
Well,
contractors are following the
Right.
policy. as
well,
well.
and is that always the best thing to do, or do you need?
You can flex things, you can
Right,
change things up in a contract, but
Right,
we have to talk about it before it goes to bid. And
Right.
otherwise we default to the policy. That's how we operate.
right,
Material.
Now, if you do flat, how do you do water runoff?
yeah.
The paver today puts your crown in.
True.
The
They put it in
puts your
July.
crown
Oh, they have the GPS on all of them, yeah.
in. The pavers are they're smarter than we are.
Speak for
That's a low bar.
No, it's true. It's true. No, it's true. They're-
But it takes a smarter person to put that into that
I
computer.
see what you mean.
Right,
huh?
yeah.
So that's what I said. You've been
Right.
doing it by.
Yeah, you can program whatever grades you want.
That's right.
And our grade crown is 1.5 to 2% from center out, so the water sheds.
And I'll tell you what, for a grader operator,
If you're talking about 0.5%, that's different spec.
Have you been watching that guy over here on the main road? Great.
Yes,
You see what great big things on?
Yeah.
That GPS.
that's.
They're putting the grade in by the benchmark.
and you know that GPS is 35 years old and they have nothing but trouble.
But I mean, that's.
It still takes an operator.
No.
Yeah.
They're doing the benchmark.
Gotcha, okay.
So anyway, that's my point. I'm not arguing. I'm just saying,
No.
when you come up with a process.
I don't care what happens here.
Yeah.
All I want is my dooryard fixed. I've been through enough stuff.
We're gonna fix it. Everything's gonna be
What I
good.
want.
Everything's gonna be good.
That's what my wife said to say.
The only thing, you're gonna go from blacktop to dirt back to blacktop. That's the only difference.
Yeah, right.
Okay,
I don't think.
all right, everybody, so I'll let
I
people.
don't think.
Yes.
Okay. Do we keep anything else?
Did you take it? Motion to orders?
Huh? Oh, no, I need a motion that we do the orders, right?
I'll make a motion. We
Okay.
accept the orders for the town.
And then
that work for you? Okay,
And the 8:16 minutes. Is that-
yeah, that's right.
But it was a good conversation, I think.
Yeah, no.
I think Susan's right. You gotta let them people know.
Yeah.
You don't have to let me know. I'll tell my wife when I get home, when I get through the door.
That's okay. That's the only way you get through the door, right? Okay, we got that. We're done. We can adjourn.
Minutes, vote,
Minutes. Oh, have you guys read the minutes?
8:16.
I forget.
Yes,
Okay. Motion to approve.
second.
All in
So,
favor, okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Done. Okay, now motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
Second.
okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Now, I want you to turn it off so we're not recording anymore.
We're gonna shut this all down.
Okay.